you.
الله اکبر خمینی رهبر مرگ بر آمریکا مرگ.
Yeah, I knew that. He came here
course.
to like support the regime. I could say like it's regime propaganda. Okay, never mind. I think we've been on this road. We went down on this road before. They're gonna give the regime so much money. Yeah, it's gonna help people in Iran. The economy will gets better, but the most of the money will go to terrorists, Syria, Houthis, Hezbollah, and it's gonna be more war, more kills, a lot of problems. They know that, but building a bomb in Iran isn't that easy. Like there's a highly security breach in Iran. Israel already like bombed a couple of sites, killed so many scientists. It's not like that they can do it easy. They have the tools, but it's gonna take like 6-8 months. So it's not like that they can build it in a day. It's gonna be messy if they try to, and they know that. They're aware that there's a highly security breach in the regime. So it's not that easy, but I hope it doesn't come to that. I'm a little bit happy for the people in Iran. They will breathe a little, but in the long term, it's not good. And as an Iranian, my heart is always in Iran. I don't want to be a war. We already had one, but I think it will come down to that. And I'm so sorry about that. I'm Said, and I'm done speaking. Thank you.
Yeah. So yeah. Oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask, like, what would that war look like for the Iranian people, Said? Like once it happens.
War never spread, my friend. There are gonna be missiles, bombs, and it's not gonna be pretty. I hope it doesn't come to that, but Israel will cripple in Iran in a month. They just send missiles, but it's not like Iran can't do anything, and it's not just Israel. It's gonna be more countries involved. It's a mess. I don't have a a good perspective for the future. It's already began. I hope it doesn't come to that. I hope I'm wrong.
No, for sure. Refreshing thoughts. Let's go to Zol. Zol, welcome to the stage. Go ahead.
Hello everybody, and to those who are from Iran, the Iranian friends in the audience as well as the speakers, I wish them a happy Nowruz. I've been listening to various discussions, and I've been looking at the title of this room. So it looks like there is going to be a deal. They are very close to the deal. Both sides are saying that, and maybe there is one or two issues like getting the IRGC off the terror list. I think they will come to some compromise there, maybe unannounced, maybe behind the curtains. They will get some guarantees and probably get the IRGC off the list. Once the sanctions are removed, especially after the war with Ukraine, Russian war with Ukraine, I think everybody needs more oil in the world, and Iranian oil will be easily sold, easily exported, and there'll be trickle down effect. More foreign currency or more earning will benefit the people at the street level to some extent. Maybe after they have spent the money for more prioritized aims, like the army or the armed forces, maybe their proxy wars in Yemen and other places, and then some will definitely go down to the people. So that's probably a positive effect. But the big question is, frankly speaking, right from the beginning, this has always been in my mind, right from the beginning, 10 years, 12 years ago, when all this started. The big question is Iran after nuclear weapon or not? This has to be answered by the West. Obviously, in Iran, they say we have the fatwa, and they deny. They have repeatedly said we are not after. But what is inside their deep inside their minds and their planning, that has to be evaluated. If they are after a weapon, this issue will come up again after a few years or few God knows, maybe after some time, this whole issue will be up again. If they are not after nuclear weapons and they are prepared to dismantle whatever they have achieved so far
But
in
that's the
exchange.
problem, Zol. They haven't dismantled or attempted to dismantle.
Correct. Not only,
They've only been enriching.
Evidence over the last so many years shows that you cannot say 100%, but they had the Fardo facilities which were clandestine, which were hidden from the West, and then was discovered by the West. So that was enrichment facility. So that was hidden, and they have other things also here and there. IAEA finds traces of enriched uranium in various facilities in Parchin and in other military facilities, and Iran is not providing answers. So the basic question is, are they after a weapon? And if that is the case, then to make them happy by signing JCPOA and then by signing a new one right now, that is only going to give them some time, and this problem will come back. But how do you convince? Because to tell you the truth, the Iranian leadership right at the top, they don't think the way the West and East think. They don't think, to tell you the truth. I have been following the news over there, and I belong
So
to that.
how do they think then?
So it's not like there are elements of religious thinking involved, political, economical, all those things which Western leaders and Eastern leaders, normal leaders will think. Those are there, all those considerations of securities, economy, God knows, dominance over the region, all those things. And then there is the element of we are right from the religious point of view, and we have this duty or this mission to spread our doctrine or whatever. I think that is also involved there. And therefore, you never know how far they are going to go. You might think that, okay, they might be like Pakistan or maybe India. They have a weapon that is a deterrent. They are never going to use it, but they are always going to make known to their opposite countries that don't use as well. So, like Pakistan, they said this is not an Islamic bomb. Once they tested their device, they said this is the first thing they said. Well, this is not an Islamic bomb, But you don't know what these guys going on in their minds. So anyway, coming back to the main question is: are these guys after a weapon? And if that is the case, they will get it sooner or later. They can get that bomb. Yes, Israel and all those other people can try to stop them and maybe even do some limited attacks on certain facilities. But now Fardo is deep down into the ground, and can they take out a facility which is reinforced and which is deep within ground, so protected? I really don't know. What I hope is that what I really hope is that this agreement is achieved. Whatever is right at the last step now, you get that achievement.
But why do you hope it's going to be achieved when you yourself has said that
so
the
that
regime
is
going to get a nuke?
Correct. That is the next step.
It just makes no sense. It's like you want them to get a nuke and you want sanctions.
That is my next sentence. Why I hope. So I hope first of all that there is an agreement, and people go back to their people cool down. That posturing is over, and then there is a.
So are you saying, Zol, that the United States should trust the regime?
Just let me finish my sentence. If there is a change in the leadership in Iran, you see, the leader there in Iran has a lot of power, and that is bad, but also it is good in the sense that if there is a the next leader comes and he sees all this experience and he decides that this is not the way to proceed. And this is not the way we have to deal with the
But
West and East. And he changes his idea and all this.
Zol, he's just
and
a figurehead.
Says, we really mean that we are. There is a fatwa, and we mean the fatwa, and we dismantle the.
Okay. All right, Zol. I'm going to have to
the centrifuges.
I'm going to have to cut you off briefly here. You know, there's no such thing as a leader change or a leadership change in Iran. The supreme leader, also known as Ayatollah Khomeini, is the grand leader. He's the guy who makes all of the decisions. Really and truly, the elections are more or less just, you could say, figurehead, right, Alex? You know, they really don't have any say or input.
Theater, political kabuki
yes,
theater.
it's all theater. There's no such thing as a hardliner or a moderate or whatever. In Iran, if the supreme leader says yes, you have to do it. That's just how it is. It's not a democracy like what people think. I mean, it's very much, you could say, you could say he's the king of kings, right? The supreme leader, Ayatollah Khomeini. He has a net worth of several $100 billion.
Yeah, but he can pass away. You know, he can pass away. He's in his
right. But
80s.
who would take
he's
over?
In 80s.
Zol? It would be
so
his family.
The next person who comes, if he's somebody like Khatami, for example. Khatami is from this system, right? I'm not saying exactly Khatami, but somebody like Khatami, who was also from this system. There is a possibility that somebody like him comes. It is.
But Zol, why would they change? I mean, that like they profit, right? The people who are in the elite circles of the supreme leader in Iran, they profit off of this oligarchy, you could say. You know, this system of rule. And so, you know, the next person after the Grand Ayatollah, why would he change?
Why would they change? Because they have experienced for the last, as I said, 12, 15 years, all the opposition from the West and the East, even Russia and China, they are not in favor of Iran's getting nuclear weapons. And they have also experienced the internal opposition. So right now, maybe the leader doesn't want to change his mind. Maybe he wants to continue slightly more, but the next person wants to have a fresh start. The bad thing about Iranian politics is that it is down to one person, but that can also be a good thing, because once he decides, like the war they had with Iraq, for 8 years they said we will not stop until we win the war, and then one day Khomeini, who was the previous leader, he said, no, this is time to stop. And it stopped, it stopped. And nobody objected that so many people have died. And all these years you said war until victory. And today you are stopping. So that is maybe the positive side of one person saying and deciding and nobody objecting. So maybe the next guy says, enough is enough. No more nuclear weapons. We tried. We failed.
I appreciate your optimism, Zol. I just don't see it happening. I mean, I just think that the supreme leader is the guy in command, and the next supreme leader after him is going to be just as brutal of a dictator as the previous guy. And
how can you be
profit.
Sure? How can you be sure?
Let me ask you this, Zol.
Tell me something deep. Okay. Tell me something without becoming too personal.
No. This isn't personal.
It's not personal. It's realistic, brother.
So no. Let me answer your question directly. So after the Grand Ayatollah died, the original founder of this Iranian revolution, right, that happened in 1979, Ayatollah Khomeini, the first one. What happened? After that, the second leader, right, the guy who's currently there, well, he got much worse. I mean, if you look at the policies he's passed, if you look at kind of what Iran has become, it's become nothing but, an impoverished terror state where the people of Iran continue to suffer immensely. Industries are not allowed to thrive and grow, and there's international isolation for decades now. So you tell me, Zol, I mean, was the last Ayatollah any better for the country than the current one? I mean, it doesn't make any sense,
You are looking at this system in a very static manner. People change, leaders change, leaders take feedback from the people
All
inside and outside.
right. Okay.
If
Alex, did you want to
if
comment about the Grand Ayatollah? Like, why would the Grand
Yeah,
Ayatollah, the next one, be
yeah.
better?
Look,
Like
look.
that just
We already. I just look. I will give Brother Zol his optimism. Okay, I'm not gonna. I don't want to lecture anybody. I am not an expert in Iranian politics. He might know something I don't know, but I will tell you the realistic. When I say realistic, there's no such thing as a moderate or an opposition. It's not going to happen. Okay, Raisi is already becoming the next predetermined Ayatollah. God forbid if that even happens. So what you're telling me is the hangman, the killer of Tehran, the butcher is what he is called, will be the leader of the country. I will tell you right now that in Iran. And this isn't just me, okay? I have family that lives over there. I have people who live in Iran. They tell me this every day. If Khamenei dies, and the day that he will die, he is not God. When he dies, you will see a coup d'etat. You will see three factions. You will see the IRGC, which is running the country into the ground. You will see the Ahmadinejad faction, because that's being talked about in circles. So, and then you have another group of people. I don't know who that the reformist camp. Okay, that is Raisi is being groomed as the next successor of this dictatorship. When Khamenei dies, it will be Raisi. He is already being groomed, just like how Khamenei was president.
and why would Raisi be a better supreme leader?
He's not. He is the butcher for a reason. He's not. There's
I
no
mean,
such
he's going to
thing
be
as a better
worse.
Ayatollah. It's just, it's mind-boggling when I hear this. But
And you'll have a few nuclear warheads to play around with as well.
of course, of course, by the time Khamenei dies, they will be nuclear active, and when Raisi takes over, it will be catastrophic. Okay, this guy is the butcher, the hangman of Tehran. He is a murderer of 30,000 people, mind you. 30,000 people died under this regime, and at the same time, why are we giving this guy more power? Okay, he's the president, but if you've noticed, Rouhani, Khatami, they really didn't do a damn thing. When Khatami tried to quote unquote liberalize Iran because he was a reformist, it really didn't do anything. Qasem Soleimani said, "If you liberalize Iran, we will remove you out of power." The hardliners control Iran. There's no such thing as a moderate. They're all the same thing. The regime has got to go. We have an opposition leader, and that's the crown prince. But I'll leave it at that. Okay, Raisi is going to be succeeded, and that's it. That's all I'm going to say.
Gentlemen, excuse me, we have to then find Mr. Putin in either Israel or America or both of them, so they start a war like in Ukraine with Iran. Maybe that's the solution you propose.
There's going to
What
be a
makes
war
you
no
think
matter
he
what.
doesn't have a war with Iran? What makes you think 43 years he is interfering in Iran? So are the other countries. Do you think Ayatollahs are running Iran properly? 43 years, corruption and everything. There is 10 millions of us are outside, just like you working in Canada in petroleum, while your country is full of petroleum. You have to be in Canada in a cold country because you can't work in your own oil-rich country, and then you're saying, oh, Putin would attack. Putin is BF, best friend of Khomeini and Khamenei. Why would you think? He already has eaten north of Iran, and China has already eaten south of Iran. So what do you think?
Yes.
We are not taking 43 years. These people have been in power, and you think they'll be elected and they will be fair? They're the same people inside that circle. Same people. It's just the seat name changes, and they've been in power
Right.
since
The
before
only
we were
thing
born.
the only thing that's going to happen if there's a supreme leader change is you're going to see more nuclear warheads being given to the regime. And in addition to those nuclear warheads, they're going to get sanctions relief, which will give them billions of dollars in their war chest to go and fund and finance terror activities. And of course, as well, Alex, right? They have lavish lives of their own. I mean, rich
Of
kids of
course.
Tehran, they have their mansions and, Bugattis and Lamborghinis and,
Of course.
of course, we can't forget about the private jets of many of these regimers. And
So,
what is the life of the
to
everyday Iranian citizen?
tell you the truth, one way is what has been going on. some discussion, some appeasement, some give and take. The other way is head-to-head confrontation. If you want to confront Iran, you are seeing the similar situation where there is one superpower who has already attacked Ukraine with 44 million, and you are seeing the result. Now you want what to do with Iran? You
No, no,
want
no.
No,
Hold
Well,
on.
you,
Hold,
90,
can I,
hold
can
on.
I,
90%
can you
Hold on.
please
No,
go
no, no.
by
Maximum,
PTR?
Guys, one mic,
maximum.
Because
one
Okay,
mic, one
guys,
mic,
guys,
one
we're not
mic,
here
one
to
mic.
play whack-a-mole. So hold on.
let me jump in for a second.
Yeah. Go ahead, Adrian.
Listen, there is a policy, and it did work from 2018 to 2020. It was the maximum pressure campaign. You put pressure on this despotic regime by putting a stranglehold on them, which they control 70% of the economy, of which the IRGC controls around 15 to 25%. So the idea that they will moderate is a fool's errand. We've been talking about this for 43 years. Hussein, Montazeri was supposed to replace Khomeini, and what happened? He fell out of line, and now we have Khamenei. Khamenei deliberately picked Raisi because he's going to be the next supreme leader. I mean, he's already dressing in the garb. I'd be willing to bet the house on that. So, looking at this situation here, uh, yes, he is going to die, but Raisi is an absolute butcher. He follows the ideological playbook of this regime, and that's what I think is getting overlooked. Is it's to preserve the revolution at home, the Islamic revolution, and export it abroad to Lebanon, to Syria, to Iraq, to Yemen, to hem in Israel, to hem in Saudi Arabia, to hem in the Gulf states, and to create havoc. That's their goal. Plain and
Okay,
simple.
please let me
Thank you.
jump in here deep because
Yeah.
everything you're
Go
saying.
ahead, Zudi. You're next. Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. So here's my concern. There's a very long coastline um, on the Somali side where there has been nuclear dumping, and Al Shabaab is being kept, alive but not too dangerous on that side of the world because of the U.S. Big, military complex and big pharma. In the meantime, my people are perishing in Tigray. That's over 6 million people that people are not talking about because Ukraine is happening right now. In the meantime, back in 2017, I think it was very clear to some of us that America's interest in and around the Red Sea has been to make sure that not a fly can go on the Red Sea without America's say so, because it needs to control that part of the world. And we were saying back then that this is going to go towards Iran. In the meantime, now the Iranian the possibility of Iran having nuclear facilities or power, not only is it worrisome, but it's also two things about it actually. Number one, is this happening because there's almost like a conscious effort to sort of spread the risk, or is it also because there's a way that you can control some things by degree? Now, I know I'm saying a lot of things, and maybe it looks like I'm going in different directions, but I just wanted to zoom out a little bit because the rest of us are going to perish while the elephants fight. So, the fact that Iran is a big oil power, and now if it's going to be a nuclear power also, along with Israel being, threatened by Iran, it's a big mess. So, and also, I just wanted to make a comment about Zol. Somebody asked him, so how do Iranians think? And Zol is explaining to some degree how Iranians think. And I have, not because I'm so optimistic, but because whether it's Khomeini or others, there's a way that I think we understand cultures, and I'm not going to preach to Iranians about how they think, but because I'm also from a certain type of culture that is not easily, um, well, understood, or you can't really read the tea leaves like the way you would in other more predictable spaces. I think it's good to listen to all sides, is what I was going to say. But please comment on that
Yes.
also.
Sorry, Zuedi. What I said was how the leadership thinks, not the Iranian people. So just one sentence.
Yes, actually, that's, yeah, the leadership. And I wanted to also acknowledge what Alex was saying. This is not an Iranian regime. And that's sort of what's happening to us over there in Ethiopia. So whether it's Somalia, Ethiopia, Eritrea, all the rest of it, because it is connected. And I just wanted to make sure that we zoom out enough to have like a bigger conversation also. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Zudi. And of course, we're also monitoring the situation in Tigray. We've had, tons of rooms about, the conflict in Ethiopia, and we'll have another room on Monday, next Monday coming up as well. And of course, we can't forget that the IRGC also sends the Ethiopian government tons of drones to commit genocide on the people of Tigray. But again,
Exactly.
I
There
think we
were
can.
Iranian drones there. Thank you.
Yes, of course, of course. So yes, thank you for that. Alex, did you want to come in, or were you just clapping, and then we'll go to
I was just
Raha?
clapping. I was just clapping for my sister Zudi.
Okay, perfect. Yes, let's go to Raha. Raha, it's been a while. It's nice to see you. Welcome. Go ahead.
Alex will let you know later why I'm here. um, where there is death and killing past 43 years, Iran regime is involved. Where there is media is corrupt and full of lie about Middle East, Iran media is um, interfering. We have Iranian regime lobbyists, children of Mullah, working in every news station, every human rights, every organization, Amnesty, you name it. They are there to just lie about what goes on in Middle East, what goes on about Iran. And it's shamefully that Iran regime, aside from spending millions of dollars on terrorism, spends millions of dollars on these people who are working on these stations, mainstream media all over the world, every single station, every single language. You can find an Iranian that is the lobbyist of Islamic Republic of Iran, from Mazyar Motamedin, Al Jazeera, to Negar Murtazavi, to Farnaz Fasihi. They have lobbyists and they are paid very well to lie about what goes on about Iran. And I would think as much as amount they spend on terrorism, they are spending on these issues. This is why European Union and other nations and media is trying so well to hold on to this regime, because they are benefiting. There's money pouring into their hands, and also Iran regime. Corrupt people like Marjan Al Agha or Khavari, they run to Canada and they bring wealth of money from Iran and they spend it in their countries. Also brain drain. All these Western countries are getting all these smart people, all these smart Iranians that have no hope, leaving their Iran, their oil-rich country with full of resources from anything you can take, from four seasons, fruits and everything that you can get, as 70% poverty is growing in Iran. All these brain drain come to Western countries, and I'm not sure why their lobbyists are trying so hard to just keep this regime. No Iranian inside Iran wants this regime. They're getting out on the street shouting out. There's protests, all kinds of protests daily, and it's not being in any media, even though there's representative of Iran regime in every TV station, in every radio, in every newspaper.
Yeah, no, thank you, Raj, and it's great, refreshing hearing your voice and being here as well. Alex, did you want to comment further, or anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. Couple of things. Everything that Sister Raha is saying is 100% accurate. There's no such thing as any kind of opposition media. The media is controlled by the regime. Even the ones that pretend that they are opposition, they're paid by the IRGC. I mean, we are in a lose-lose battle when it comes to that. And one of the reasons that Raha is here tonight is because they deleted her Twitter account. And I will tell you, I'm very active on Twitter when it comes to Iran. So is Sister Raha, and they are censoring us left and right now. But I will also say that, look, these people who claim that they know the people of Iran and they speak for us, they don't speak for us. We know the truth, and we know what people in Iran want. They literally want to live like the West, okay? The fact that they have to use VPNs and they still can get information. And now, right now, Deep, I know this isn't the topic, but it's related to the people of Iran, because right now they're trying to pass an internet bill that'll literally kill switch the only thing that's keeping Iranian people kind of sane right now, okay? Um, if they do that, it's game over. We don't have media. We don't have social media in the country. I can't even talk to my family then. They are literally passing this because these occupiers are afraid. They're afraid of the fact that the people of Iran, the ones who know the true identity of where we're from, they want to get rid of this dictatorship once and for all. And they are going through all of this North Korea style censorship because they know what 2009 brought. They know what Alban brought in 2017. They know what Isfahan brought. These people are cowards because they're afraid of the people of Iran. And mind you, no one is talking about the fact that every single day there are protests, but it doesn't even make the news. And people like me and Raha June have to work 3 times as hard to use the platforms we have in our disposal to bring that message out. And it's truly a disgrace. And the people who are in media, like the Farnas Fasihis, the NIAX, the Quincy Institute, all these people, they don't speak for us, okay? They speak for the regime. And that is what's so dangerous, is that they're in the United States, they're in Canada, they're in England and Germany, and they think they speak for us, but they do not speak for us. And that is the most dangerous part. And they censor people that have a different opinion. So I just want to put that out there. But please go ahead.
No, for sure. Thank you for sharing that, Alex and Raha. And feel free to come in anytime you guys want. Folks, we're here at the U.S. Foreign Policy Club, just doing a quick reset, talking about the new Iran nuclear deal that is near the final stages of its agreement, and of course the talks of removing the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, also known as the largest state sponsor of terror, according to the U.S. State Department, removing them altogether from the terror list. So we're here kind of just having a general discussion, kind of hearing what the implications are. We've talked about a lot of different things, from the impact this will have on the Middle East, potentially destabilizing the Middle East, potentially an Iran-Israel war. On top of that, we've also discussed how the lives of everyday Iranian citizens haven't really improved under this regime over the last, really ever since it was created, but really the last couple of decades in particular. The last decade has seen dramatic decline in quality of life and standard of living in the people of Iran. And, I guess we're here to see if, this deal will ultimately make it better or worse. But so far, the unanimous consensus has been it really won't make things better too much. And of course, we certainly can't forget the 90% enrichment that the regime is already under, and just how close they are to getting a nuclear weapon. So, I think if you enjoyed our content, you haven't already done so, please do follow the U.S. Foreign Policy Club. It's also nice to have a room about something besides Russia and Ukraine, because we've been covering that nonstop for the last month. So it's nice to be talking about some other topics around the world as well. So I guess before we move on to some of the other people who haven't had a chance to speak yet, I do want to let Adrian I know you came in earlier, Adrian, but I want to get your thoughts briefly, generally, on this new nuclear deal and what the implications of that nuclear deal are. So, go ahead, Adrian. Thank you for giving us your time tonight. Yeah, go ahead, mate.
Thanks, Deep. I don't even have enough time to discuss it. The financial implications, the money going into it. Talking about $130 billion frozen aid going to them. We saw the last time what happened with that amount of money going into the IRGC, into the Islamic Republic. Everybody thought, well, that's going to enrich the lives and make the lives better. No, it created a genocide in Syria. So there's that aspect. The part I want to really focus in on, in on, is the the removal of the IRGC from the foreign terrorist organization list. And this is a disastrous move. There have been so many disasters, one after another. I'm like, I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they're doing this. This was like the final straw. And I think this is the one that raised a lot of pushback within Congress, because the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Council, if they're not on that foreign terrorist organization list, then why have one at all? Take Al Qaeda off, take Hezbollah off, take Hamas off, take Palestinian Islamic Jihad off, take them all off. They are the grand masters of this.
Well, Adrian, they did remove the Houthis from the terror list as well.
Exactly, and that was to try and pave the way for this type of deal. And and we saw what happened when they removed the Houthis from the foreign terrorist organization list. They became completely
shooting missiles into Riyadh right now. Yes.
Yeah, into Riyadh, into UAE. They're taking boats. There's a battle going on in the Red Sea that people are unaware of, where they're indiscriminately mining. I mean, it's just it's horrific. And the whole idea that we're going to take this group that basically sees vacuums or creates vacuums, creates carnage, chaos, and then comes in and then fills that vacuum. We're giving the arm that does that was responsible for blowing up the Marine barracks bombing in 1983, killing 241 Marines. The Amia bombing in South America, killing 85 people, injuring over 300. The Israeli embassy bombing in Argentina. These are all IRGC acts. We talk about multiple assassinations that have taken place all over Europe, political assassinations. The bombing, the planning of bombings of rallies, of the ambassador. I mean, this is what we're dealing with, and we're taking them off the foreign terrorist organization list. I'll make one last comment. You can marinate on this. Al Qaeda came to the Sudan in '92. All right. Before that, they were a disjointed group. They were pulled down there by Hassan al-Turabi, and it was basically to create this terrorist, Sunni terrorist strike force. They set about a bunch of camps, about 30 of them. They're all built by the IRGC. They were all trained by members as well as IRGC members. And then you essentially had Hezbollah and IRGC create Al-Qaeda, make them a cohesive unit, marry them with Egyptian Islamic Jihad, carry out the first Khobar attacks, 1996 Khobar attacks. I mean, this is who we are thinking about taking off the terror list. If that's the group, then there is no such thing as terrorism. It's just a polemic. It doesn't mean anything. And the one argument I hear is that it is their national army. It's just symbolic. It's not their national army. They have something called the Artash. That's their national army. It's different.
Yeah, well, let me ask you the specifics of the deal itself, because as you're aware, I think we're closer than ever to the deal, and I think the deal itself is probably likely to get signed. But just hearing your thoughts, I mean, do you think this deal is going to go through? If it is going to go through, how quickly do you think it's going to go through? And then when will we start seeing the effects of that? I mean, are we going to go to war? I mean, is Israel going to go to war? I mean, just curious to hear your thoughts on that, Adrian.
I'm not going to make any predictions there. All I can say is that wherever the Islamic Republic is now, they're probably about 3 months away from a nuclear weapon. At this point, the United States is the parts of the negotiating team. Okay, Rob Malley, one individual. I will also say that Ali Vaiz from Crisis Group, the guy he's connected to the regime. All right, these are people that are negotiating our policy on behalf of the Islamic Republic. It's totally FUBAR is what they would say.
How adamant do you think the Biden administration is to get this deal through?
Oh, that's all they care about. I mean, the first step was taking, as you mentioned, taking the Houthis off the terrorist organization list. All they do is condemn. When they try and assassinate the Iraqi prime minister, when the Houthis launch something. I mean, there's this dogmatic belief.
In other words, Adrian, in other words, we are most likely going to see a deal then. I mean,
A
is there
deal.
something that we can do to stop it? I'm just curious. Yeah.
See, the deal from the Islamic Republic side, from Ali Khamenei's side, has always been the removal of sanctions in perpetuity, and that means that it doesn't matter what administration comes in, there's not going to be the deal can't be ripped up, such as Trump. So, for something like that to happen, my belief is that we would have to go through Congress, or at least elements would have to go through Congress. There are also parts of it that we haven't even explored, where the IAEA is not happy with any of this. I mean, they're the UN nuclear watchdog, and they're saying what they've got problems with all parts of the deal, many parts of the deal. So, we've been at this how long now? I mean, they started this basically
it's been over a year since the talks have gone. I mean, it's been over a year of the Biden administration, but yeah, these are very long, lengthy, drawn-out negotiations that haven't reached a formal conclusion yet.
Exactly. And how many times do we say, "Oh my gosh, we're getting to a critical stage. We're running out of time. We're running out of time." Well,
and then they keep delaying it,
and they keep enriching. So,
Yeah, the other theory, Adrian, that I wanted to discuss with you is that, deal or no deal, it seems like the Ayatollahs are going to get a nuclear weapon. They're very close to getting one. And, of course, the Trump administration did a pretty decent job of trying to pressure them. But, of course, that takes time. And it takes several, you could say years for those policies to really kind of come into action. And, of course, us in the U.S., we're very, you could say, divided country, and one administration comes, the next administration has a polar opposite policy, and we're seeing the effects of that. So I'm just curious, Adrian, if we are going to see, you could say, the Ayatollahs get a nuke, no matter what, deal or no deal, considering just how close they are right now, and of course, I guess the Israelis.
I do. I think it's going to be up to the Israelis to, try.
So there's going to be escalation then. There's going to be a war.
I don't. When they get a nuke, then it's nuclear blackmail you're facing. There's, it's not a good situation.
But if they get a nuke, then Israel's going to go to war with Iran.
I don't know if they're going to go to war with it. I don't know.
Well, I mean, they would have to take out the nuclear facilities, right?
Yeah, I mean that was the ex-president of Spain once said, he was in a Wall Street Journal article, and he was talking to Putin. He said, why are you helping out the Iranians with the Islamic Republic with their nuclear program? And he said, they're closer to you than they are to us. And he said, well, I know as soon as they're on the launching pad, the Israelis will come and take it out. Well, I don't like to leave things to that type of chance and that type of escalation. And that's one of the failures of the first JCPOA. To them to have a nuclear missile, they have to have the ballistic capabilities and also deal with the satellite component. And neither of those were taken care of in the first JCPOA, nor are they taking care of this. So now they have a deliverable war. They will have a deliverable warhead. I don't see any other outcome.
Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you. I think that it's quite likely. But I think that, we can't underestimate as well, I mean, the Mossad or other agencies kind of coming in and trying to sabotage that before it actually happens.
Yeah, but I think it's only Mossad. I think basically the CIA and our intelligence agencies have been told to stand down. They've been told to back off this issue.
Well, yes, of course, Biden is the commander in chief. We can't forget that. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up, and I'm very happy Adrian's here tonight. Adrian, I hope you're doing well, my brother. It's always good to have your expertise in this. There's two things. Number one, he's absolutely right about the Artesh, the actual army. That is a civilian. That's the real army of Iran, and I will tell you that they have been treated like crap for 43 years because the IRGC has pretty much taken over weapons-wise and technology and all of that. But I also want to say that what happened in Isfahan last year, we saw the people of Iran fight against the Basijis, and a little bit, and the commanders were IRGC, but the Basijis, the homegrown domestic thug squad, as I like to call them, the army of Iran, the Artish, actually backed the people for the first time. Okay, the dynamics are changing inside the country. Okay, and that's why I cannot stress it enough that we need this internet bill to be killed, for the people's sake, and just for the fact that what we're seeing in the war in Ukraine with the Starlink, we need Starlink system to happen if they pass this kill switch bill, because the internet is the one weapon that the people of Iran have against this regime, and we need to utilize that. And I can't stress this enough, Deep. And I'm not going to go into them all. I'm going to make it very quick. I cannot stress this enough for any Iranian who's in diaspora. You don't even have. We can have different opinions. They did a poll recently. They said 38% of the people want a secular democratic republic. The rest said they want the crown prince back. You know, the politics of Iran is so complex. But the one thing we have in common is that this regime needs to go. No moderate, no hardliner. The entire infrastructure of this dictatorship needs to be brought down to its knees. And the other thing I can't stress enough is that we have civil groups inside Iran who are very well addressed about the issues of what's happening. We have teachers that are protesting, nurses, doctors, lawyers, university students who have degrees that should have a job. But guess what? They don't have a job because this regime has absolutely blatantly ignored the people of Iran. And that unification, that unity of getting rid of the regime is growing. It's growing. And let's not forget, 47% of the population in Iran is younger than 35. Okay? The population is booming. It's 85 million right now, but this is the children of the revolution we're talking about. People like me, who are young, who have families now, who are starting out family. They don't want to live under this dictatorship anymore. And we can talk about, yeah, they're going to sign a nuclear deal, yeah, and all that. But look, we're looking at a potential war. I mean, Adrian, I understand you're hesitant to answer. I'm going to be not politically correct. If they sign this deal and remove the IRGC from the terror list, there will be war. And Israel will strike. That is there's no ways around it. That is a threat. And it's a threat that the proxy forces are already circled in. And we have to be very careful and be very well aware of what's about to happen if this administration does the Jimmy Carter routine of appeasing the regime. And that's what's happening right now. It's very serious. But please, go ahead, Deep. I just wanted to put that out there.
No, no. I think you said it very very eloquently. I think the risk of a war goes up significantly, and we're not politically correct in this club. We kind of say it for what it is. You know, Israel will not tolerate Iran having a nuclear weapon, and that too. I mean, it's not just one nuclear weapon. I mean, you could multiply that into several. Once you have the uranium you need, we could be talking about 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even more. Because once you have one, well, it allows you to pave the path to have many more. And I don't think it's a very healthy world to live in, a nuclear Iran. So just some food for thought. I do want to keep this conversation going, but before I do, Mr. Navi, did you want to say something really quickly, and then we'll
If
go
I
to
may, Deep,
yeah, go
thank
ahead
you.
very quickly.
I'm going to do my final comments, and if possible, I can leave. I think we've got distracted a little bit from the subject. To my understanding, I see most of my friends are talking about the situation with the government in Iran, discussing internal Iran affairs rather than nuclear deal. Most of us, I know we are Iranians are split on this. Some think that the deal is necessary to happen. They think they are going to get benefit from the deal from economy point of view, and it's going to help economy of the country, and that would be reflected on them as well. Some of them, of course, they think that this deal should not happen. Mostly not because they think that deal would, limit Iranian nuclear program. Rather, they think if we are not having this deal, the situation would be worse and it would affect the government of Iran, and they can get rid of this government. That's the position they're taking from not having the deal, to my understanding. I personally don't see that happen. Iranian government is very well adapted to the sanctions in years of being that
Well,
situation.
how are they well adapted to the
Oh,
sanctions,
basically,
considering the living standards in Iran are continuing to
No,
go
you
down?
exactly, Deep. You
no, no,
need to go and visit these countries. I'm sorry I jumped in. You have to go to South America, East Europe, let alone Africa and part of India. They are doing far better in reality. And I do go back and forth. You guys are far from reality.
no,
Yeah,
I
You
have,
sound like you support the
please,
regime,
can
Vahid.
you please stop intervening
yeah,
when
my,
people are talking, right? Thank you.
Okay.
no,
All right. One mic. One mic. Yeah, go ahead.
no, I've been in Iran several times. My family goes to Iran, come back. I have friends and families in Iran. I know the situation in Iran is not, the best at this time, but I think they're living, and most of these sanctions are not affecting the government. Rather, our government is, diverting these sanctions issues to the people of Iran. Would people of Iran be able to, back against the government? I don't think so at this time. Energy prices is high. They can sell oil and
But they
get
can't
money for
sell
the
oil. That's the problem.
correct.
Like the sanctions don't allow them to sell oil. Like,
Absolutely, but yeah. Anyways, so back to the deal. I think my personal understanding is that U.S. pulling out of the deal in 2018 was a mistake. Nothing good came out of that act of Trump administration. At this time, I think both of Iran and the United States wanted this deal, and to my understanding, the deal will go through. Even we have to consider that even the deal has not been signed, both sides
yeah, I
have
think
taken. Yeah,
Masood,
yeah,
I think we agree that the deal will probably go
yeah.
through, just
So
considering it is the Biden administration in power. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we agree that the deal is a good
no. I
deal. Of
mean,
course,
no,
it's a catastrophic deal.
no.
But I
My,
mean, we don't have much of a choice.
correct. But yeah, but anyways, I'm saying Iran has moved toward the 2015 deal by removing one third of 60% enrichment stockpile, and also United States is letting Iran to sell oil, more oil these days. So that's moving toward the deal, even not having signed the deal. So from the other side, I don't think anybody could attack Iranian facility. As I mentioned, Iranian facility is not one
Well, they've been
nuclear
attacked
facility.
and taken out by the Mossad for
Yes,
years.
they have taken hundreds of these machines. They replaced them with more advanced machine, 1,000 of them. So
So are
it's
you saying the Mossad isn't smart enough to take out Iran's nuclear reactors?
it's not the matter of being smart or not smart. It's to having all these 10,000 machines removed and damaged. It's not an easy task. At the same time, we consider that Iran is not weak at this time from military standpoint. They can defend themselves. I don't think anybody in that region could attack them. They have massive missile program and capability. They can send satellites to the orbit. That means they can attack anybody in within that region, and Israel too. So I don't think Israel can take a preemptive strike on Iran's facility at this time. The only way I can see that the world can move toward the peace and security is to have a deal. By having a deal, the United States and the power in the world can have more inspections through IAEA over the nuclear facilities of Iran and can limit the Iranian program. Other than that, there would be no way to limit them. That's my understanding.
Right,
All right,
right.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you
Can
for that.
I
Yeah, Pema. Yeah,
say
go
a
ahead.
couple of comments? Yeah. So first of all, great to see everyone. And these rooms we haven't had it for quite some time, so it's really good to be back. So a few points, Mr. Nahvi. I think I have to pretty much disagree with everything he said. First, the Iranian regime, whether it's well adapted to sanctions, the thing about the situation is that the regime has been allowed to sell some amount of oil for the last year and a half or so. I mean, since the new administration came in, and that has been their uh, uh, really. I mean, that has kept them afloat, right? And now with actually, I was reading just just today about that they're bringing their capacity back to pre sanction levels. And with the rise in the oil prices, although they may not be able to sell at these high prices, because of contracts and so forth and so on, still, um, they can survive. I mean, and we're talking about a regime that does not care a bit about the well-being of the Iranian people. So even if they can, all they care about is have some money to pay the IRGC, their repressive forces. They can spend on their proxies and stuff like that. And of course, they can also uh, put some of that money in their pockets. Then if they can accomplish that, they're okay. So whether we have 70% of the Iranian population being under the poverty line or 80%, it doesn't matter to them. So I think they can survive. I agree they can survive with this. And if you notice, they're in no rush really to have this deal. So we were talking about whether there's a new deal or not. I mean, now they're setting the demand, and because they think they can play this game. And to me, I think they are looking for an opportunity to really go for the breakout. And using this as delaying tactics. And we've seen, they've been playing this game for the last, year and a half. And prior, also in previous years, we saw them playing this game. So, and whether they're firmly in control or not, I think is just very hard to tell. I mean, for someone to claim that the regime is, yeah, whether they will be brutally suppressing any uprising, yeah, for sure they will do that. I mean, that's true. But whether they are, firmly in control, it's they may be, or maybe not. I mean, there's none of us would know about whether they are in control or not. So I think making that blanket statement and also saying that the regime is well adapted, that is also not true. I think under the maximum pressure, they were under a lot of trouble, and but again, with this new administration, they were given a little bit of a relief, and they took advantage of it. As pretty, I mean, it would be predictable back then that a little bit of a relief would make them take advantage of this, and they did, and they can continue for quite some time. And lastly, something that I think Adrian said, which is absolutely right about the IRGC. IRGC is not, an Iranian or national Iranian force. Actually, one of the commanders of the IRGC claimed, actually boasted about this on television, that the name of Iran is not even in it's IRGC. There's no mention of Iran in this force's name. So I does not stand for Iran. It stands for Islamic. And so we are talking about an organization whose founding was to the preservation of the regime and exporting revolution. That's really their foundational principle. Now, talk to us about, well, this is a national force, and this is like these people who are the commanders of this force are like U.S. generals. No, they are not. I mean, they are a bunch of thugs whose job is to wreak havoc in the Middle East, export terror, and taking away this label would be, I think, a big mistake. Uh, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that would be a big mistake. It will send horrible message. And I know the talking point, probably Mr. Nafi would confirm this talking point, that well, I mean, this is just symbolic and has no effect. But I don't think that is true, and I think that will be again a great mistake. So thank you, and I can chime in later, but that's I
No,
love to
no,
hear
Thank you,
from
thank
Payman.
others.
you. Thank you.
Thank you, Payman. Thank you, Deep again. Can I just wanted to see if I can log off at this point.
Yeah, very
It was
quickly,
actually
30
great.
seconds, and then I got to get to
Okay,
other
sure. Thank
people.
you. Thank you.
Actually, sorry if Masood can stay for two more minutes. I have a question which Masood may have the expertise
No
to
problem.
answer.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah, well, let him go first. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Mr. Masood. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to see if anybody has a question, I can
Okay, all right.
answer.
Yeah, Zol.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah,
answer.
so I have a
Yeah.
question which well, my background is mechanical engineering. I have studied a bit of nuclear weapons and testing but it's just studies. Maybe Masood has more expertise. Now, we have been saying here and there about breakout. So I want to understand. Suppose a country has the required enriched uranium or plutonium, whatever fissile material that is necessary for a bomb or a weapon. Now, obviously, they need other components, detonators. They need, God knows, this and that, all to actually have a device which will explode, which they can develop themselves, or they can get the technology from others who are prepared to share with them the technology. However, every single present nuclear power has tested a device before claiming that they are a nuclear power, and Iran also has to do this. They have to test their device. They cannot obviously test it in the open sea. They will have to test in a desert area in Iran, which there is enough desert area they can do that. So once they reach this point where they have to test a device to prove to themselves as well as to their enemies that they are a nuclear power, they will have to start not digging, but they use water, they wash salt
Yeah,
caverns.
Zol, can you get to your question, mate?
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't have time for. Yeah.
correct. So they have to create a salt cavern, which everybody will come to know. Satellites are there. They have to go into a desert where there is no population and start creating these massive underground caves for the detonation. Now, is that, Masood, if this is the correct procedure, then that is the point where anybody can stop them. Anybody means Mossad, Israeli Air Force, everybody, even so they can always be preemptive strike at that point to stop them from testing a device. So it's not that easy to have a breakout and get a weapon and this and that, what we are worried about.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. Zol. Yeah, go ahead and answer that if you want. But yeah.
Yes, basically the definition of breakout is different people have different definition. Some people say, when you have enough material, uranium or plutonium, enriched uranium or plutonium-239, enough for making a bomb, that would be a breakout. Some people say no, that's only material. You have two more steps. The second step is to assemble a bomb, nuclear bomb, so you can use those materials in that assembly. And the third thing is to have a way to carry this to the target. So these three steps, some people say, the breakout is the time you have these three steps put together. So as for the test, you're right. They have to do the test. Having the material for making a bomb is one side. We know Iran has missiles to carry this bomb if they have any. The second, to have the bomb assembled is a different thing. And you're right, they have to do the test to show that they have capability to do that. According to the documents that Mossad has taken from Iran, out of Iran, and if you have seen David Albright's book, I don't remember the name of the book, it says that Iran has done some cold tests during the beginning of 2021 to 2023. They have had several facilities for testing this, and they've done the cold test. So nobody knows what the situation of those assembly and the study and test results. They do have the test results in those documents, but the current situation is not really clear to me, at least. But you're right; they have to do tests. Some people say that they have done those tests, at least cold tests.
Yeah, Adrian, go ahead. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I think there's one element that we're forgetting about and that we're not factoring into this is North Korea. The Islamic Republic and North Korea have been working together. The Islamic Republic, no, they haven't had these detonations, but we know that they've been going off in North Korea. So they've been taking care of the nuclear capacity of it, looking at the miniaturization of it so you can fit it onto a ballistic missile. And then the Islamic Republic has been developing the ballistic missile program as well as the satellite program, which are the other two important components. So, for example, Fordo, when it became discovered and there was a major problem there was some type of disaster, maybe sabotage. We don't know what happened. But if you look through the number of KIA and the number of killed there was about 14 Iranian scientists, and then there was 2 North Korean observers. So these 2 countries have worked together on this developing a nuclear program for quite some time here. So I think we cannot overlook that part of it.
Certainly, yes. Thank you for that, Adrian. Really, really good insights. Yeah, it's quite a journey, isn't it, to developing a nuclear weapon? And unfortunately, this regime is closer than ever to getting one. Let's keep this conversation moving, though. We do have some new people that haven't had a chance to speak yet. So, Mr. Livestream Bot 3, I can't read Farsi, so if you want to talk, it's your turn. Okay, maybe Livestream Bot is not available because he's an actual bot. Let's go to Arash.
Deep, he actually comes onto all the Farsi rooms. I think he just screens everything, so he's not a troll. I can tell you that right now.
Okay. Yeah, no issues. Let's go to Arash. Arash, go ahead.
Howdy, guys. Thanks for inviting me over. So, for judging a policy, I would judge a policy by its outcomes, not some made-up idealistics that can never be achieved. When Donald Trump pulled out of the deal, Iran was complying with the IAEA inspections, and Iran's breakout time was 1 year at least, and Iran's regional policies wasn't that much different from right now. But after 3 years of maximum pressure, now China has roughly saved $80 billion to $100 billion on buying subsidized oil. And if we are realistic, China is the number one rival, enemy, threat, whatever you want to call it, of the United States. Some people on this stage are just living in their own reality. And so this is good. This has been working out pretty well for Chinese, right? And Iran's breakout time have been decreased from a year to a month. Iran's middle class has shrunk to almost nothing. And honestly, with imposing these sanctions, right, like using US dollars as a global reserve currency, to impose sanctions, which is a very effective tool, America is just risking its tool as a global currency. And now, Wall Street Journal wrote an article, and it's not just Wall Street Journal, Washington Post, and a lot of Ray Dalio, one of the biggest hedge fund managers, are telling Americans that America will lose its global reserve currency as a US dollar in the next 5 to 10 years. And over a country that doesn't pose an existential threat to Americans. Like Iran is just thousands of miles away. And a little more background on Iran's relations with the United States, right? Like we should contextualize what's going on. In
Yeah, Arash,
2001 or
if you could be brief though, yeah, because we can't be here forever.
sure,
So
sure,
yeah.
I will cut myself short. In 2001 and 2002, we all know that like Iran helped and cooperated with Americans with intelligence, with military to take down Taliban. And after that, like Iran declared neutrality in the war against Iraq, but wink, wink. We know that Jawad Zarif masterminded the anti-Saddam conference, and Ahmad Chalabi was like a very close ally of Iran to replace Saddam Hussein, right? And after that, America and in the most famous or infamous speech of President George Bush, he stated that Iran is part of the axis of evil, right? And like Iran is driven by what's going on and what has happened. So every step that Iran took towards Americans, with JCPOA, like just sending its stockpiles of enriched uranium and like destroying its heavy water facilities in Iraq. So every step that Iranians have taken to to facilitate or to a rapprochement with Americans, they have been denied.
Who's
And
been verifying this? Who's been verifying this? The IAEA can't even get access to their cameras. They were holding them blackmail. So the whole notion that
because
that
Donald
they
Trump
stopped
pulled out
this.
of the deal that was
Oh no!
working.
Yes.
Because
It was working. It was working. So the Syrian genocide, that was part of, that was working. They were stopping
well,
enriching
that's
uranium.
another discussion, man.
Listen,
That's another discussion. I'm
we
talking
don't
about
know.
JCPOA.
Okay, we don't know from the first time that piece of crap was signed. We don't even know what the past nuclear development was, or the past weaponization of it was. Sites were just showing up. So you can't tell me that, oh yes, we had it completely under control. We knew where all the sites are. Undeclared sites
It
showed up
was
all the
under
time.
control. It was under
Oh
control
my
and
God.
certified
Oh
by
my,
the inspectors of
dude.
IAEA.
For the
And
ones
what
they
about
could
now? Like,
find.
what
For the
have you
ones they
achieved
could.
from maximum pressure right now? Like,
What
what's
we
your
achieved,
achievement?
Can you please stop shouting, Arnashon?
what we
You can
achieved was
talk more.
we took the Islamic Republic's foreign currency reserves down to a point where Ali Khamenei had to dip into his own personal slush fund, which he holds from the people of Iran, all right, to subsidize the economy. That's what happened. We
You
saw
helped
that we
Chinese.
well,
You helped
that's the
Chinese
yeah.
with that.
But actually, you
Chinese
know
have
what?
saved $100 billion
Arash,
in
let me
buying
finish. Let me
subsidized
finish.
oil sanctions.
So, Arash, that's actually the one good point that you made, and the one point I can agree on. China is the much bigger threat, but they're all connected. You can't disconnect the dots and say and deal with them all in isolation. They're all connected. Do you see my point there?
Well, I see your point, but the bigger picture is like, what have you achieved through maximum pressure? China
Maximum
has
pressure.
much more closer.
Four more years, the people would have risen up and taken back that country. That's what would have happened.
Well, that's just wishful thinking, man. That's just wishful
So
thinking.
one thing I want to add, just agreeing with Adrian, obviously, but I think this is a had Trump not withdrawn from that in my view horrible deal, what would have happened? We would be close to the beginning of this sunset period, which will be kicking in the next, I don't know, 3 4 years. And we would be on the cusp of having this regime becoming within this decade, right? A nuclear power. And we are talking about a regime and it would have been taken its opportunity not only to build its economy. When I say its economy, it doesn't go to the Iranian people. It goes to the proxies and to its malign activities and all that, right? And we know it. I think this is proven fact. Even at the height of the JCPOA, people were on the street protesting against bad economic conditions because the money was not distributed the way it was supposed to, or people had hoped for. Now, they would be on the cusp of becoming a nuclear power while they would have had the opportunity to build their ballistic missiles, exactly the same missiles, Arash, that they have written, we will destroy Israel or we're going to wipe Israel off, death to Israel. The same missiles that we're talking about, they will be, working, using this money to further develop their missiles. Because this was out of it was not included as anything inside the JCPOA, which was one of the reasons we believe this was a horrible deal. And nothing about this also is proxies. It was not part of JCPOA, and they will be continuing their activities the way they have been. And why I'm saying that? Am I just doing like guessing and just saying things that are not proven in fact? No, that we know everything that I'm just saying. It happened after the JCPOA was signed. Everything I'm talking about was happening at the point where Trump withdrew from the deal. So we would be in a probably much worse situation now. I don't. I would agree probably that I think I agree with both you and perhaps Adrian that this is a situation with no good outcome. And the problem is not U.S. The problem is not Israel. The problem was not Trump. The problem is in Tehran, the Iranian regime. That is the source of the trouble. They're pursuing a program that is very unpopular among Iranians. People of Iran do not want Iranian blood and treasure be spent on the regime's adventures in Syria, in Lebanon, in Yemen. And we know that time and time again, people have come to the street to make this point heard and known. We know that. But the regime doesn't care because they are pursuing their ideological goals. Where we go from here, no one knows. And I don't have, unfortunately, a crystal ball. None of us has. So we have to see where we go from here.
Absolutely, absolutely. No, thank you.
So
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
can I have a can,
Sure. Yeah, go ahead,
yeah?
and
So
then we'll go to
like there
Zaidi.
are sure, yeah. So there are like some popular narratives, that I know that this sells pretty well with some Iranians, that Iran is funding all the proxies in the Middle East in Hamas, but like Qatar is the main supporter of Hamas, right? So and like these proxies, they have found their way to generate money, to generate their income. Like Iran is helping them, that's for sure, but like it's not just Iran is like splurging all the money, right? But the main point is like in 2003 Iran's wrote a private letter, grand bargain letter. You can just google it, and submitted this letter to Americans through the Switzerland embassy. And Iran proposed that they will withdraw their support from Lebanon, and they will withdraw their support from like all proxies, and in exchange for getting acceptance in World Trade Organization and getting a security acceptance from the Americans. And the Americans, they just turned a blind eye to this letter and lambasted the Switzerland ambassador for trying to facilitate, trying to mediate between Iran and the United States. So this situation that we have been stuck in for the past 10 years, this is like an organic product of Americans' foreign policy during Bush administration. As I've already mentioned, Iran helped taking down Taliban in Afghanistan, both militarily,
The
both with
Taliban were
intelligence.
getting trained in Iran.
That's a blatant lie.
No,
No,
it's
you're
not.
spreading
I have
lies.
I have I have very, very firm information. I have people
Taliban
in
is
Iran.
like an
Yes.
ultimate
They were
anti-Shiite.
constantly visiting Mr. Zarif, and if you didn't see the pictures, go look
I'm
for it.
talking about
I'm not gonna say Google it.
2001.
They pay Google to remove those as well.
And that letter,
Talking about
Arash,
2001.
it's I mean, just one thing about the letter you talked about that is, uh, I think that's just laughable. I mean, that letter was never serious. It was never considered as anything serious. And what the Iranian regime did, though, in that period, was to make sure that uh, hundreds of Americans get killed in Iraq, and that's the fact. And everything else is just like talking points. And that letter was, again, I mean, that's I think people are welcome to go and Google that letter, and then you will see that was pretty much a hoax, and it was nothing serious. Nobody takes that letter seriously, but it's a very popular talking point among NIAC, with who a lot of Iranians believe it's just works on the behalf of the Iranian regime. Um, mm, but yeah, I mean, they talk about this a lot. But anyways, just wanted to add that about the letter that
Yes,
you
yes,
referenced.
yes. No, thank you, thank you for that, guys. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Raha, and then I want to really hear from Zaidi as well if he's available. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry. I wanted to say we don't have a problem from 10 years ago. It's been 43 years of problems. Our families were killed at the beginning of Islamic Republic of Iran coming to power. And because I've lost families, I'm not giving in that America destroyed. Why from the day one, Masum Ebtekar yelling death to America, climbing the embassy, her children live in USA. Why the assistant of Khomeini, his children live in USA. Like, it's not America to blame for the corruption and mess that's going on in Iran.
No, absolutely. No, thank you so much, Raha June, for that. Let's keep this conversation going. I guess Zaidi, are you available to talk right now?
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
here,
go
brother.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So yeah, I've been listening to a lot of point of views. I was born in Israel, an Israeli citizen. Pretty much all my family, aside from my immediate family, lives there. And I'll tell you guys this. One thing I know for sure is Israel doesn't adhere to the JCPOA. Israel's been very much against it. And it's a guarantee that Biden is going to sign this deal with them. He's hell-bent on it. He was part of it in the first JCPOA deal. And from, up until now, it's really rumors that we hear, but there are some credible sources where you begin to realize that this deal is going to be much worse than the first deal. And it's going to cause a lot of problems in the Middle East. I see people standing up and saying Iran is, going to get it one way or another, justifying the deal. And at the end of the day, these types of deals are ones that lead to war. Israel's going to be left with no choice but to do what it has to do and take some sort of military action. Iran has been very, very troublesome to the state of Israel, from funding Hamas, training, supporting, and the bigger enemy to the north, Hezbollah. Hezbollah is essentially a puppet for them, and it's going to be, I don't think it's a question of if, but a question of when Israel's going to bomb them, and rightfully so. Iran's been hell-bent on destroying the state of Israel, been funding enemies from all sides to attack it constantly. So we're very, very familiar with wars. It's where we come from. It's an unfortunate reality. But, when having an existential threat to your nation, you got to take certain actions. And there's going to be a big
So
war
when do
coming.
you think that is, Zaidi?
It's going to come
When do you
sooner than
think?
we think, personally, I believe. I've been
But
speaking to a lot of my
but you
friends back.
think he will sign it? They've been saying,
It's
oh, they're
done.
reaching
It's
him.
done. It's already done.
But
The
then,
deal's been done before they sat down.
yeah,
America's bent
Biden
over
doesn't even
backwards. The
know.
Biden administration is very weak. They're already pressing them for oil. They sanctioned Russian oil, and in turn went to Venezuela and Iran, pushing them from oil, and hoping
By the way, we're buying more oil since those sanctions were passed.
for sure.
More Russian oil, 1 million barrels of
Mm,
oil. By the way,
it's it's all smoke and mirrors. And at the end of the day, we're all going to suffer from all of this stuff. And Iran giving a terrorist regime billions of dollars, freeing up sanctions, and giving them a pathway to nuclear weapons is going to lead not just the Middle East but the world on a very, very bad course. And we've seen that with Russia and Ukraine. It's affected all of us. I don't think people tend to realize how much everything is interconnected, like what Adrian was saying. It's all connected. And we're going to feel it very, very hard. And as somebody from Israel, I'm going to feel it much harder because I'm directly implicated. I got skin in the game, similar to my Iranian brothers and sisters. So the war is coming. It's not a question of when. It's a question. Not a question of if. It's a question of when. In deep, I spoke to many people, and from my understanding, not even my understanding, it's just a fact. Hezbollah is stronger than they've ever been, and there's rumors that something's going to be happening.
Lebanon is weaker than it has ever been. I just want to be clear on that.
No, we know that. That's not a coincidence.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Go ahead, man. Yeah.
That's not a coincidence. So. I definitely don't want to see war, especially because we're directly implicated, but it doesn't seem like there's a choice. And the weak Biden administration is lighting the world on fire. This is another example.
Yeah, Alex, did you want to come in? Go ahead.
Yeah, look, I agree 100% with Zadie. He is my Jewish brother. We are going to be implicated by this because of the not misaligned weakness of Biden and Ayatollah Biden, for that matter. Okay. Look, Israel's already done some stuff. I will leave it at that. We call them accidents, and people in Iran are sick and tired of the dictatorship. And if they see an opportunity to light the regime on fire, they'll do it. Okay. I'm talking shootings, and I'm talking just straight up these reactors that have just the accidents. But I will leave it with this. If you think Israel's not going to do it, they will absolutely obliterate the regime, and military strikes are going to go to the infrastructure of the IRGC. This is not going to be like the Iraq War. This is going to be precision guided attack, and then the people of Iran will rise up. And I'm telling you this because it's going to happen. Okay, this is all connected, and this is not a coincidence. And we have to be very paying close attention to the details. And as Zadie said it, I've stated before, they've already signed the damn deal. It's just a moment of when are they going to make it formally confirmed. They've already signed it. Okay, Biden is a weak president. He's not even attuned to what's going on, and he's literally given the chalice of.
Well, he reads off a teleprompter. Yeah.
Of course, he's not a president. He's a dummy. Okay, and he's literally giving the world's most dangerous regime an opportunity to obliterate a Jewish state off the map. And by signing this deal, you're signing the death warrant of the Middle East and countless of our brothers and sisters who live in other countries who we just want peace. And this is going to affect me as an Iranian. This is going to affect Zadie as a Jewish brother. I don't want to see people die. I hate war. But guess what? This is going to happen now because these occupiers have taken power and they're on the trip. While we suffer inside Iran, these mullahs, their sons and daughters are out in the U.S. getting a full ride scholarship of education and money, and all that money has been plundered from us, the Iranian people. So, Israel will do what it has to do, and I'm 100% behind it.
The one thing I will have
go
to
ahead.
say about the one thing I will have to say about kinetic action, we can focus
Do you
on
guys want to
Iran.
hear different views?
We could
Hold on. Go ahead, Adrian.
We could focus on the Islamic Republic, but you also, and it was mentioned, Hezbollah to the north and Hamas as well. If you remember during the last time when they had a Gaza flare-up, they fired as much as they possibly could. And I really do think it was to see how they could test and see if they could overwhelm the Iron Dome defenses. Because during the Syrian civil war, under the darkness of that, the Islamic Republic absolutely flooded Lebanon with precision-guided missiles to hit Israel from the north. So if there is a war, I know that from Israeli doctrine right now, war in north, they will drive straight to Lebanon. They won't mess around. Gaza, that can be flattened if they want to go down that road. So it could get extremely ugly, and it's all consequences of handing a regime a nuclear weapon that can use it as blackmail. And it really wakes up every morning and yells death to Israel. So you give them a nuke, what do you think they want to do with it?
It was their first point of order, Adrian. When the revolution happened, they set up Al-Quds Day, where they literally called death to Israel. They call it the little Satan, in America the big Satan. It's the same regime that commits terrorism all over the world. How many were killed in Lebanon in the explosion by the Iranians? It's 200.
I mean, and look at how the Lebanese people are living under Hezbollah today. I mean, it's disgusting what's happened to Lebanon. But yeah, thank you guys all so much. Great contributions. Let's keep this conversation going. We have four guests who haven't had a chance to speak yet, so we'll go to Wahid, and then David will be the last guy, and then we'll get to final thoughts.
Wait,
Go
I
ahead,
never said
Wahid.
anything.
Oh yeah, sorry, yes, Ali as well. I think he's been in and out, so we'll go to Wahid and then Ali. Yeah, go ahead, Wahid. Wahid, are
Go
you
ahead,
there?
Vahid.
Okay, maybe not. We'll go to
It's
Ali
connection.
then in the meantime. Yeah, go ahead.
I wanted to contribute this to the conversation. When we discuss the IRGC, whose titles in
And
the
in
room,
regards to IRGC,
Okay, all right, let's go to
Right.
I
Ali
think he
first.
was
Yeah,
talking and he was mute.
yeah, yeah, this is really weird. Okay, so let's go
yeah,
to Ali.
exactly, you can't handle it, just like BBC.
No,
Vahid,
okay,
Vahid, Vahid,
all right.
Vahid. We try to let you talk, brother. If you don't
Okay,
want to let people speak.
hold on, guys,
Exactly,
guys.
Alex. You see,
Okay,
he
all right,
called
all
my
right.
back.
Deep. He
He
called you
doesn't
the
let me talk.
BBC.
Okay, all right,
Seriously.
all right. Yeah, yeah. Mr.
So
Wahid, yeah, go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead.
okay.
Don't be like a BBC. Don't be like
Yeah,
a BBC.
exactly. You know, like you guys are just looking at it from your side of view, and you don't want to hear what is happening. So
No, we
technically,
wanted to hear you, but you couldn't speak.
We just
Yeah, go
didn't
ahead.
hear you, man. We just
Go
didn't
okay,
hear
ahead,
you.
go ahead,
let me
go ahead.
finish. Yeah, let me finish. So technically, if there, if
I
Your
hope
voice
you're
is
not
not.
accusing him of
Guys,
I
BBC
guys,
tonight.
swear,
guys. The Mossad got to him. The
of
Mossad got to him.
course, the FSB too. We can't forget that. Mr. Ali, go
okay, thank
ahead.
you. So basically,
problem, yeah,
okay,
Okay,
can you make a
all right,
choice?
man. This is
Just quiet him down, and well, I'll let me
we'll
just
get to
finish
you
my.
yes.
next, Wahid. Yeah,
Okay.
So
yeah, yeah. Go
So
ahead, go ahead.
yeah, the heart of the matter, which is I guess never discussed in all the rooms that I go to, is that this particular government in Iran is a theocracy. It's very important to understand that. It's a theocracy, the Islamic Republic of Iran. And the IRGC is, yes, as has been mentioned, it's not. It's the Islamic Army. Um, if you look at all the martyrdom operations, if you were just like, if you wake up from a coma and you see these guys blowing themselves up, you won't understand what's going on. But if someone enlightens you as to what significance this has for them in their religion, in their religious perspective of life, then you'd understand what they're doing, what's going on in their head. The reason people don't understand the foreign policy of Iran, of the Islamic Republic since 1979 to this day, is because there's a blind spot in the secular mind and in the secular sphere of conversation regarding the how the theology of this government translates into foreign policy. That is not talked about. But that's the heart of the matter. Because if that were to be understood properly by the world, then this regime would have been thwarted long ago. But because we attribute to them our own, Western cultural perspective, we misunderstand them. So, it has been said that the purpose of the IRGC is to bring revolutionary ideas into the rest of the world. That's again a secular way of saying what they're about. So what they believe in is that the Sunnis believe that there was only one prophet, Muhammad, but the Shias believe that the prophethood was passed down to Ali and eventually to a 12th Imam who is now in oculation. And the leader of the Islamic Republic of Iran is his representative. That is stated in Article 5 of the Constitution of Iran. It begins with the words, during the oculation of the Wali or As. That's how the Article 5 begins. The power is given to this guy. And the IRGC are a group of people who have committed themselves to the protection of this religious seat that they believe has descended from heaven. And now, sure, there's a lot of businessmen in there. right now. I mean, it has evolved. The IRGC has its own history, and it has gone through different phases of evolution. And there's lots of businessmen in there, but there is still a religious core, both in the IRGC and in the clerics and the seminary of Qom, where the education is provided. And so the idea of going through the gates of Mesopotamia after the fall of Saddam Hussein and extending your power into the rest of the Middle East, all of this is done with the purpose of carrying out this, you know, these theological beliefs that yes, the liberation of the Palestinians from, you know, the Zionists and all that stuff. Justice is a very important part of this theology. So I think it'd be great if the people who are commentators and writers and authors would really bring to the forefront the worldview that is energizing the foreign policy of Iran. Now, when it comes to the Biden administration, why would they empower such a force? Well, the Obama doctrine envisioned a different Middle East than Reagan. The idea was if you bring these rogue regimes into the Assembly of Nations, it civilizes them. It's basically a Marxist perspective that their militancy is a reaction to Western imperialism. If you let them have their own culture and pull back, they will stop these ideas. That is extremely naive and deluded because people actually follow their internal ideology, and when you give them $90 billion, it's going to move the entire world in a more dangerous place, because these guys, even though they think they're doing God's work, they're more likely doing the devil's work. So it's going to be problematic. So is it that the people in the Democratic Party, do they not really understand what is the beliefs of this government? I mean, are they that out of touch? Are they that uneducated? Are they listening to advisors who are misguiding them? I don't know, because I'm not there. But I'm also willing to believe that at some deep level, there may be profound anti-Semitism also in the Democratic Party that in a way aligns with the overall ideals and goals of the Islamic Republic. I think that can't be,
Yeah, Ali, can you
dismissed.
fix the background noise? It's like you're eating some chips or something.
The microphone is rubbing against my beard, sorry. So basically, just to finish, definitely once the deal is official and the money is given, we are 100% going towards the fulfillment of these beliefs, and the war is imminent within the decade. As far as the date, I think it's kind of between 2028 and 2030. And I don't think it's going to be simply between Iran and Israel. It's going to be a much larger battle. What you're seeing in Afghanistan since the takeover of the Taliban is that it really has become a hub for many Islamic groups. I mean, ISIS has set up shop, and some from Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan have now set up shop, and they have these schools where they not only teach militancy, but they also teach them how to overthrow governments. Why? Because this is kind of the backdrop. The backdrop of all of these movements, whether it's the Muslim Brotherhood and Hamas, whether it's these guys in Afghanistan, or the Salafis in Arabia, or the IRGC in Iran, the backdrop is to bring about the glory days of Islam, the supremacy of Islam, and to continue the forward march of the religion, and in some groups of thought, especially among the Shia, to bring about the end of days. The fact that these things are not properly understood and explained itself is the reason why the regime can continue to move forward. It hides in the blind spot of Western secular understanding. And it feeds off anti-Semitism, which is a global, unfortunately, evil. And so these things I think I want to bring to the forefront, and I do recommend that people read the Constitution of Iran. It's more of a theological document than anything else, and we're definitely going towards a major war in the region before the end of the decade. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead, Adrian.
Yeah, Ali brought up a couple of really good points, and I don't know if it's so much secular where you see this disconnect, but the West has suffered from what you call mirror image error, mirror imaging error with the Islamic Republic, expecting them that they're going to conduct foreign policy along the same lines that Western nations would conduct foreign policy. There is also the theological component. They don't understand it. They don't get it. Trust me. A lot of these individuals, if you talked about the Mahdi or the 12th Imam, they wouldn't have the slightest clue about what you're talking about. As far as the anti-Semitic wing, and I do see it aligning. I do see it aligning with a large segment in the House of Representatives, and these are the House of Representatives, the individuals that will probably be at risk coming up in the 2022 elections.
Thank you for that.
Thank you so much, guys. All right, so Wahid, are you back? Can you talk, or if not, we can go to somebody else. Yeah, go ahead.
You gotta unmute, bro.
Come on, man. It's not rocket science. Wahid, unmute,
I
my
think
friend.
I think Wahid is on inside point one
Yes,
of Islamic
yes.
Republic, and we are there is others from outside representing
No,
Islamic
no.
Republic.
The thing is, you have to look at it. They fight 8 years of war against rest of the world. Even Soviet was supporting Iraq. After that, Iran has more sanctions than North Korea, far more sanctions than North Korea. But they still stand and they send satellite to the orbit. You guys don't have to like them. There is no need. You know, the Iranians do. And you have to go inside Iran and hear their opinion. And you guys need to pretty much be within the society to understand what is going on. And I truly believe it. Lots of you guys, with no disrespect, you guys are far from reality and what.
So what is going on, Wahid? Why don't you tell us?
Sure. So technically, Iran is a country they don't accept foreign military base. They want to be independent. If you can
How
ask,
about China coming to Iran?
Hold on,
50,000.
hold on. Let him
okay,
talk. Let him talk. This
sure.
is funny. Go ahead.
China does not have military base in Iran, nor Russia or any other country on the planet. There is no military base inside Iran. So
Soon
Iran,
there will
even
be,
the
Vahid.
I see some Shah, supporters here. So the Iran relied on the West once. I'm Iranian American, and I don't want to have to make that mistake. Iranians, as an Iranian part of me, I don't want any foreigners to interfere with Iran or have a military base in Iran, or there shouldn't be any good relationship, like a excellent relationship with the West. I'm against it. I'm against it, and there shouldn't be, because they relied on the West once and they paid the price, and I disagree with it. And within Iran, I think they've been doing excellent. Their banking system, they do online banking just like us here.
Excellent. $1
Yes,
is
Hold on,
40,000 today.
Wow.
hold on. Let him
yes,
talk.
that's
Let him talk.
capitalism.
This
That's
is
your
funny.
lack of your knowledge. Exactly. That's capitalism. Turkey doesn't have any inflation. Turkey is a NATO, US has a military base in there. There is no other
Okay.
country
So
with inflation.
Wahid. I agree. Turkey is a failed state, but that doesn't mean the IRGC isn't worse. I mean, why do you think?
IRGC, so yes, let me explain it to you. So the IRGC is the military force, like US. Actually, Iran is far more sophisticated. So there is two military force. One is the
You can't be
military, other one
serious.
is the.
Yeah,
Let
no.
me please explain. Let me please explain. So technically, look at it this way: Iran has a supreme leader who doesn't change, and and on top of it, they have president. So they have both. Now look at the military part of it. Look at the structure. They have IRGC and they have a military. Both of them, they have Navy, Air Force, and Army, but they are completely separate. Do you know
How much is
why?
in the IR? How much budget goes to the IRGC and how much goes to the Artesh? Answer me that.
Obviously, there is more goes to the IRGC according to what it says online,
Yeah,
but
they
that's part
employ
of their.
300,000 people. They employ 300,000 people, and that's not
Of
even
course,
including
that's
the
their
besieged.
military. Who,
No,
who,
it's
who,
not.
Are
it's
you
for
complaining about
internal suppression.
860 billion we spent here?
It's for internal suppression. That's what it's there for, and it's to train the Houthis. It's to help get ballistic
You
missiles
don't have
over
to
to what,
like it. It's their military.
dude.
Me as an
Okay,
American,
okay,
I
but
love
hold
to
on,
have
hold on,
700
hold
Vahid,
on,
are you
everybody, everybody, hold
I'm not
on,
bases
saying.
around
hold
the
on.
I'm not
planet
saying
So
that
to
you
I,
don't
I, I
protect
just,
like it.
myself.
I just want to
You're
know one thing
lying.
from him.
You're
Hold on,
lying.
guys, hold on. I just want to know from you, Vahid. Why do you think the IRGC and let's say this current governing structure is the best system for Iran? Because you said it is, so I just want to know why it is. Go ahead.
I think the current system
Be
functions.
specific. Be specific.
Sure, I will. Beside the fact with all the, so technically I believe, wrong or right, major powers like US, West, they don't want to see an independent Iran in a
Okay, all
very,
right, but Wahid, you have to
yes.
answer the question directly. Like, why do you believe the IRGC is the best system? Like, you're not answering the question.
IRGC
This
is
isn't
not the
about
system.
America.
IRGC is not
Vahid,
the
you're
system.
It's
all
the
over the
current
It's
governing
place,
the
right? I
structure of
military
mean,
Iran.
force
No,
to
no, no.
you're
I
all
mean,
over the
protect
so
place
the
with
current
Iranians.
this.
regime, the current Islamic Republic, why is it the best system for Iran? Just answer that
Vahid,
question. It's
please
not about the
focus.
West. Yeah,
In the
answer the question directly. Yeah.
current time frame where we live right now, with all the issues around the planet, I truly believe they have done good during past
What
several
is it? What is
decades.
it? What have they done? Just name one
So
good thing.
they didn't give up any part of Iran to other countries. They fight 8 years without giving up any
Okay,
part of
you can't
Iran,
be
while
serious.
rest of the world were supporting Saddam. And on top of that, they kept their independent while they were under sanctions,
But
and they
that doesn't
grew
answer the question, Wahid. How have they helped like the
because
people?
they
Like how
deserve it. Because they deserve it.
so you're saying the Iranian people deserve poverty.
Yeah, why
No,
don't you
they
go
are
live
not
there
as
then?
there is not much of poverty that you can see in India or Africa or South America.
Don't
You have to go
compare.
and see
Iran
it.
is an
Yeah,
oil-rich
don't
Okay,
even
country.
compare,
okay.
brother.
So
Vahid,
the
they
average
fought
I
over
think
Iranian
their
makes
nukes for
about two
many
Yes,
hundred
the
I
dollars a
think
month.
we
country that
have
has been
given
under
enough.
sanctions, they have
I think we
a
have given
space
enough
program.
time to this
There is a
gentleman.
country that has been under
Vahid,
sanctions. They have nuclear
can
program.
Come
you
on,
just
dude.
They are
focus?
one of the best
Can I
missiles
can
No,
builders.
no,
They
Vahid?
no.
have
I just wanted to
UAVs,
hear him. I mean, he's a
drones.
Vahid,
Yes.
genuine regime
you
supporter.
are
This
you're
is
But
all over the
entertaining.
place, Vahid.
he's
Can
confusing the people
can
of
I
down
just
there who don't know
please
anything about Iran.
yeah,
Not even
please if you
coherent.
give me 1 second. You're
There's
I
all over the
do.
place.
so
You
so
start
I
talking
own
Wahid,
about
properties there
hold
too.
on,
I
hold
own
on.
properties here. I go, I come back. I love both countries.
Right,
But there
Wahid,
is a
Wahid.
conflict of interest.
You can't even women can't even go to soccer matches in Iran. Like that's
They
how
pepper
messed.
sprayed women and children at a
Well,
freaking FIFA
So
event.
the
Vahid,
women
Vahid, I got
can
a question
teach
for you,
their
Vahid.
kids, the
Vahid,
women the moms, their sisters, they have to teach their kids when they go to parliament, they can vote and
yeah.
they can go to
And then
a soccer
they
field.
also feel the
It's
fabric
their
of
own
women in the
fault.
streets to see if their
And
hijabs are
you
right.
guys being out
If
here
it's
thousands of miles away
Vahid,
is not going to change anything.
Vahid, I got a question for you. Okay, you said you're clearly very much in favor for the regime in Iran. So, question for you: This you said you love both Iran and America. When your regime has a holiday every single year where a lot of people come outside and chant death to America, is that something you support, Vahid? Is that love for your country?
Hey, don't get mad
Do
if
you
I
call
call
do you call
Zionist
Vahid?
regime, okay?
Do you call
If
do you
you call
call
it
Oh, here we
regime,
go.
you
one sec, Vahid?
let me
Vahid, one sec,
Let him talk.
to
Let him
have
talk.
some
Yeah,
respect
I want to know if he's
for yourself.
comfortable with the regime's view of America being the big Satan. I'm just curious.
Go ahead and ask your question again with respect.
With respect, do you think your regime calling America
Why
the
do they
big
chant
Satan?
death to America,
Yeah,
Wahid? Are
Just
you not an
call it a
American?
government, or don't ask a question from me.
No,
I
no, go
just
ahead,
wanna
answer. No one interrupt him. Yeah,
there's no
why do
point of
they
getting
chant death
offended,
to
Vahid.
America? Yeah, yeah. I mean, you are an American citizen, right? So why do they keep chanting death to our country? Okay, I guess the
But
cat got his tongue. I don't think
Well,
he
I got
can.
one more. I got one more. One quick follow up,
So
since you don't want to
there
answer
is
that one.
a so people, people are in, they can come out and say whatever they want. You can see it. Recently happened in Argentina. They were just a couple of days ago. They were burning American flag in Argentina.
No,
But
but we're talking about the government. The government calling death to America. How about the heat? Another one. How about um them calling to the annihilation of the only Jewish country in the world, calling death to Israel, saying, and part of their goal from inception is to
no,
destroy the only Jewish country in the world. You think that's justified
I'm
also, Vahid?
against, I'm against the fact, Israel, people live in that part of the world, and I know good people live within Israel too, within Iran, all over the planet. But if Israeli, if you call it regime, I'll call it regime. But if they have the gut to attack Iran, I truly believe they will disappear. They are not going to
Hey,
live
That's
in
Vahid.
that part of
misinformation.
the
Vahid.
Hold
world
on, hold
I
on.
think
with the
Let
Muslim
him talk. Let
population
him talk.
around them. Yes,
yeah.
Why
they
do
are.
you
No,
think that?
I think he's getting into calling for destruction of another country. I don't
No,
No,
think
I
no.
we
want to
can
hear it.
He's
allow that
calling
Taymon,
to
for
Taymon.
war.
But
He's
I
calling for
want to
war. But
direct.
I want to hear from him. Like, why do you believe that the
Yeah.
the Islamic Republic regime would win in a war with
But
Israel? I'm
deep,
just
it's not even
curious.
that. He mentioned that if Israel attacked, they would do that. But I asked him a direct question, and again, he just evaded. I just want a direct answer, and then you can move on to explaining to us how they're going to do it. But why do you think it's okay for them, to have that part of their code, the destruction of a Jewish country? They never said if Israel attacks.
So the
Iran is
public,
hell bent on attacking and wiping out the only Jewish
so
country in the world.
Israel is an extension of U.S. influence in that
Mm.
region.
So it has no right to exist, right? Based on your perspective.
No, I never said that. I personally, this is my personal, point of view. They do have, of course, they have a right to exist. That's my personal point of view. And as long as they don't attack, they are not going to be attacked. And Israel is not, it doesn't count as a force in that region. They can barely fight Lebanon. And, it's just, seriously,
Vahid, tell me something. Are you smoking the opium that's coming
just
from
give him a
Afghanistan and
break,
Iran?
please. Give him a break.
That's all. I didn't ask you. Are you smoking the opium there in Tehran? Vahid?
the thing is, I'm not in Tehran. I'm in LA right now, and I'm
They
not
got good
here to
opium,
joke
if you look.
around or
Go,
disrespect
Okay, okay,
anybody.
okay.
Okay, this
All
is
right,
a
all right.
serious subject and conversation.
Okay.
That way, people can share their opinion. What is going to happen in case they decide to take any actions? In that case, don't you know this even this nuclear programs talking technicals, knowing these reactors and these sites, Iran had this program long before,
All right,
and since
all right. I've had
90s.
enough. I've had
LA,
enough. All right, thank you, mate. Yes,
Okay.
too
thank
much.
you.
I mean, I think
Too much, too much,
seriously,
too
we
much.
have
it
heard
wasn't
enough.
much. You guys don't want to hear
Wahid
it.
Okay.
needs to go to Iran to eat
Yeah.
his lavashak.
No, I think we should move on.
Get your
I
off and go back to Tehran, you traitor.
I think he talked enough. Let's move.
I just want to
Who the
tell him one
No,
fuck
no,
thing,
are
no.
you to
Taymon.
Hold on,
tell
hold
me?
on, hold on. No, no, no. We're not here to have one-on-ones. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, Wahid, I'll be nice enough if you can wrap up your thoughts in 20 seconds or so. That'd be great. But be quick. Yes. We got to get to other people. Want to wrap up your thoughts, Wahid? Okay, maybe not.
No,
Okay. Do you
I'm
want to
done.
wrap?
In case you have any question, I can answer it. I can just share my
No, no,
personal
no, no. We
opinion.
don't have any
But I'm
questions.
No,
We
done.
we're
don't
good.
have any
I'd
questions.
like to make one last statement, Deep.
Okay.
And this
Okay.
is
Go
just
ahead.
to address the room in the Islamic regime of Iran. So, on behalf of the Jewish people and, my Iranian family, I hope, we're going to see the mullahs hanging Monday soon in Tehran, and we'll see that regime come to an end. And,
Yes.
Iranian people can be free, and the Jewish people could be at peace knowing they don't have an enemy hell bent in the destruction.
Amen.
you're dreaming too much.
My
Can
dreams come
No,
to
no,
reality,
no,
Vahid. It's not.
no, brother.
It's
You're
not
dreaming.
dreaming, Vahid. It's called
Okay.
Vahid.
Okay.
Vahid.
No.
All
It's
right.
called.
All right.
It's called manifesting, and I do that every single day
Yeah.
in my life.
This is just too
This is
funny.
hilarious.
All right. All right. Thank
Deep,
you. Thank you for that. Yeah, we gotta
deep.
keep this conversation moving though. Yeah, Payman, did you
Okay.
want to say something quickly? And then we got to get to other people.
No, no, no. Let's move on. I think we have people on the
Yeah, we
stage.
got to move on. Go ahead, Khalid. Yeah, welcome. It's good to see
That
you
that
again.
was that was a good kind of comedy session in the middle. So
It was
to go back
entertainment.
to yeah, just to I just want to highlight something that I think we missed throughout the discussion, and that's why I came to the stage. So I agree with Zaidi and Ali. What Ali said about being a theocracy, and if you read the constitution, you know what you're dealing with, and what Zaidi said about the deal being a kind of pretext for a war, an imminent war, and it's going to happen for sure. I totally agree. I'm kind of a little bit more inclined to think that based on what's going on in the region right now, specifically the Najaf summit, the new visit to the Israeli president to Turkey, which has changed a lot of geopolitics in the region, you can feel, if you connect the dots, you can feel that Israel and the Gulf states are containing all the Iranian regional actors. Assad, Hezbollah in Lebanon is busy with his own problems. Assad is getting contained by UAE. The Houthis, the Saudis are trying to have a peace deal with them. Now Russia is busy in the Ukraine. I don't know. I have a feeling that if this deal goes, and it's eminently gonna be public, it's already signed. It's just the last thing that Iran is trying to get, but it's already done. Once it goes public, it's gonna be a matter of months. It's not gonna be years until Israel will strike, and this is not a choice for Israel. And this all this Israeli Gulf countries coalition that's forming right now, it's not for optics. It's not just to take pictures in front of the press. There's something behind it. Those people are trying to defend themselves, their way of life. Iran and I think they're actors in the region, non-state actors fighting this asymmetric war, destabilizing four countries so far. I don't think they will allow it to happen. And if they do allow it to happen, it's going to be something to see. That's and I would like to hear what do they think. I'm a little bit worried, and I would like to hear Zaidi's comment about this. If Bennett's government is able, because it's a thin majority, the government, I don't know if it's strong enough to initiate a strike and to have a domestic kind of cohesion inside Israel to kind of tolerate any kind of reaction, even if it's limited from the Iranian actors in the region. So can Bennett's government initiate a strike like this or not? Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Zadie, if you want to answer that.
Guys, hey, I just want to say something quickly. I gotta go. Zadie, from your mouth to God's ear. And why do you guys bring this idiot cyber army from the regime up on the stage? Like, why do
Because we
you
need we
guys
need
give
some
them
entertainment.
stage?
We need
Well,
some
I know, I
comedy.
understand. Keep that for the end of the program, for the end of the show. Why do you guys give them airspace and stage?
He
Why do you
wasn't.
why
He
do
didn't
you
speak
guys
for
let
the
them
first
even
two and
these
a half
people
hours.
talk? Block them. They don't deserve to be on
No, no,
any
no, no.
stage.
Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. If we did that, then people would think that we don't give the other
Listen,
side a
listen,
chance.
guys.
We don't
You
allow
guys
them
are
to
doing a
talk.
good job. I know you guys wanna entertain. I'm all for it. I mean, these idiots don't have any space even for entertainment. I just wanna say something quickly. Be aware of these separatists that are on this app going room to room talking about separating Ahwaz or Kurdistan. Just be aware of them.
South
Pay
Azerbaijan.
attention to these people. These people are agitators and they are going to distract what's exactly happening. Just pay attention more to those idiots as well. Have a great night, everyone. Bye. I'm going down.
I got a
Or
comment to
move me
that.
Thank
down,
you. Thank
please.
you.
Move me down.
Thank you, Rahman.
No, no.
Thank
I
you.
mean, you can only put
Steve,
yourself down.
can I speak, Steve? Oh.
Sure, sure. Why not? Go ahead.
Okay, it's Stephen here in Toronto. Thank you, Zadie, for letting me speak before you. So what Rachel says is so true. Last night we had Bob and Esther Gallant, as you know her, was trying to have this discourse with him. You cannot it's a waste of time, Deep, to converse with these idiots because they're not idiots. Actually, they're quite smart people. They're what they are is misguided with their hatred, and they use that hatred as a veil to try
We need
and get
something to
through.
laugh at too.
Okay, well, okay. So my issue here is I wanted to mention what Ali said. Yes, it's a valid viewpoint what he says. I have a somewhat different viewpoint. The hatred of anything that is related to what Trump tried to do, whether it's right or wrong. I'm not here to discuss Trump at all, but if he did something, the focus from the Democrats is to deny any value to it, whether it's Abraham Accords by his son-in-law or anything, and to distance themselves so much that they'll do things in the opposite direction. So what Ali says is to me somewhat naive to think that they would have an agenda of détente or even peace by appeasing people and making them the show that we want to be friends and kumbaya with them and hug them. This is a foolish, to me, Ali, way of thinking, because we should know from history there isn't one nation except there's the Hindu nation, okay, other than the Jewish nation for thousands of years that has survived. The Medes, the Ottoman Empire, the Greeks, the Romans, and the jeopardy now that we should, God forbid, never experience in our lifetimes or our grandchildren is the further decline of the United States of America. I live in Canada in the shadow, but it's a bright shadow. It's not a dark shadow. It's a very bright shadow. Remember that Lady Liberty, which was designed and shipped from Paris, France, that I've seen many times since in my 80 years, since I was in my teens and I went to New York City. That is the symbol of the world that has never been till 1776. And we should respect that vision and hold it dear. Canadians, Israelis, and what that woman said there, I don't even want to know her name, that Israel isn't strong enough. My God, she's so foolish. And so I'll sum up and I'll land my plane, as you say here. I will sum up to these intolerant people. They say from the Jordan to the sea, we will be free, whatever the shit they say. I've got something to say right back to them. From the east to the west, from every continent on the earth, and from the north to the south, there will be peace someday when the world is free of Islam. Period. Thank you.
Thank you, Shlomo. I was just repeating the Obama doctrine that is embraced by the Biden administration. I agree with you that it's extremely naive, and that's why I suggested, how is it that they don't see that? Is it because they're being misinformed? Is it because they're just that naive themselves? Or is it because there's an anti-Semitic vein within the Democratic Party that is in some way agreeing, with the Islamists? The Obama doctrine, is Marxist-based, and it believed that American foreign policy should move away from the Sunnis back to allying with Iran. And the idea is that if you kind of pull these rogue nations into the assembly of global nations, you civilize them, you calm them down, you respect them, and they'll put their weapons down and their chants. It's very naive because actually what you're doing is you're empowering them with money so that they can carry out their internal ideology. So I was just repeating the Obama doctrine embraced by the Biden administration and then saying, well, why are they doing it? Is it because they're that stupid? Or is it because they're actually, in some ways in agreement with the Islamic Republic when it comes over Israel? Because think about it this way. If there is an anti-Semitic vein within the American government, it does exist. I'm sorry, it does. It's clear and well documented. If these guys are able, if they empower them, they give them money, they give them weapons, they open their hands, and they come forward. If they're able to actually do what they want to do, then they've agreed with these anti-Semites in the West, and life goes on. If they fail, then a very important force is weakened in the region, and the Western power can come in and take more resources, assert itself, and continue its own, agenda and legacy. So it becomes a win-win situation from a purely imperialist perspective. So there's a lot of, layers to the relationship of Iran and the West, because it really goes back to the days of Alexander the Great and the sequence of empires all the way to the Yankee Republic. So there's a power struggle between these two spheres. There's a worldview struggle since the return of, and establishment of Israel as a nation, and the rise of Islamism in Iran. It's very complex, but I just wanted to say it's not my opinion. I agree with you. It's extremely naive. I was just echoing the Obama doctrine and reflecting on why does it even exist, or why is it even embraced by Biden.
Right. Yeah.
The,
No. Thank
the,
you. Thank
the
you. Thank
issue
you,
what you're saying,
guys. Yeah.
let me just
I got to
finish.
get to other people. But yeah,
Uh,
got to be quick. Yeah.
30 seconds, okay. So the issue isn't the two people are too much naive thinking it's Islam is the issue, because the issue here is a strong America to resist what is inevitable in the future, the dominance of China and India and an emerging Africa. Islam will be irrelevant in 50 years. Believe me, it'll be gone. The threat is coming from not being powerful to resist the Chinese, and you need a strong India to do that. And the fact is that a third of the population of the planet within 60 or 70 years will be from Africa. Africa is the rising power in the world.
Can I have my question answered by Zaidi about the
No.
Israeli
Yeah.
politics? No?
I mean, he's not even here right now. But yeah. Thank you for that, guys. Yeah. I don't want to get off of tangents and get off topic. We've been also. We've been here for about 3 hours. We really got to get going soon. But yeah, Alex did want to bring up a couple people up, so I thought it'd be nice and allow them to come up, but we really do got to get going soon. So let's go to Behram next. Go ahead, Behram, and then David. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, I just want to go straight forward to the topic, actually. Our disagreement with the regime that is exists there is totally different than the topics. We can talk about that for hours and hours. But my opinion is the deal is going to
Yeah,
go
but the
through.
thing is, Behram, like
Yes.
agreeing to the deal is appeasing to the regime, which is not helping the Iranian people. You understand why that's brought up?
Well, yeah, I understand that. I definitely understand. And well, we got a corrupt regime in power, so no doubt about it. But the topic is talking about the deal. I believe it's going to go through, and which during the Obama it did go through. So it's going to happen. Uh, and our deal with the Iranian regime comes next. Right now, people they don't have medicine, necessary medicine. They are suffering, and I think it's going to help in a way that whether it's the overthrow of the regime or what have you. I think we better not humiliate someone who's pro regime or making fun of them. I was not expecting from your room, sir. I was highly respecting your room. Because often I come to your room and lots of intellectual people, they talk and I learn. I'm just a student here to learn down there, but I'm happy
Okay,
that they
all
invited
right,
me.
Bahram,
Yeah.
Bahram.
Yeah.
We
Sorry,
have given.
Bahram.
Hold on, no. Hold on, don't interrupt me. Don't
Well,
interrupt
you
me.
did interrupt me. I
Hold on,
didn't finish my
no,
3 minutes.
not you, not you, Bahram. I'm just answering your question. So, look, we gave that gentleman, I forgot his name, Vahid, the maximum amount of time. I actually invited him back several times to talk because his mic was frozen. So I think we've been not only more than fair, we actually gave him a lot of our time. And then we actually asked him questions too to actually understand why he believes the way he does. So we don't have to agree with it, sure. I mean, but I think we've been more than fair. So yeah, go ahead, Behram. Yeah,
Well,
Behram, go ahead.
no. Just in conclusion, I think, yeah. Well, we can just brush it. We can sugar coat it, but I believe jumping in between his talking, I don't think it was fair. But anyway, my take from this deal is gonna go through, and I can bet here for anyone is available who willing to bet. I bet $100 with each individual that Israel never ever attacks Iran. Now, if you feel or you are instigating in your room that Israel is going to go do this and in few days or few months, we've been hearing this for past 43 years. Our Jewish community, they have 4,000 years of history in our country. They have we have Jewish community living in that country. They have a fascinating life.
They left Behram. They
So
left after the
no,
Yeah,
they
I
revolution.
didn't.
don't.
No,
I
sir.
mean,
No,
I
they
think that's
didn't.
a.
No.
I think
Well,
no,
you
no,
are
no.
just.
I think
Are
that's.
you
I think
allowing?
that's an.
You see now you
Guys,
are.
real quick.
Okay. All
There's
right. God bless you.
hold on. We'll
Okay.
let you finish, but there's only 4,000 left in the entire country.
No, that's not
There
true.
there were there were there was a lot.
We have 60, sir. We have 60,000 Jewish. They have
And they
businesses.
live in
They
LA.
have success. They
They
know
live
they
in
are
LA.
still in. We have Jewish community that they are living in that country, and we have
They all
Jewish who
moved to
come.
LA and Israel.
Sir, are you allowing me to finish or no?
I mean
I am,
that's the fact, Behram.
I'm talking to you as a witness. I know this
There
in
are not
Iran.
60,000 Persian Jews in Iran today. There's 4,000.
4,000 or less.
More of them. Most of them came to LA. They're in West Hollywood.
Well, okay. Do you have any kind of proof for that? What you're telling me?
I mean, look at the
I'm
Persian
proof
Jewish
of it.
community in
I'm
LA.
proof of it. My
No,
father
but
left in
look at the
1970.
community in LA. I mean,
Yeah,
you
I
Well,
know,
of
mean,
course, we have
and
huge community. We have
not to
Muslims, we
mention like
have
radical Islamists
Zoroastrians, we have
completely
Jewish community
desecrate.
in
okay,
LA.
all right, all right. Let's not get
Okay.
too much off topic. What's your
No,
main point, Behram?
my
Yeah,
point
wrap
is,
it
my
up.
friend, don't try to create hostility between Jewish and Iranians or this kind of matter. We
There
have
is
no
no
issue.
Definitely no
hostility.
We have
hostilities.
all.
There
You're
is
not
no
alone.
hostility. It's about the government.
It was the creation of hostility. We have no hostility, and never. This is never gonna happen. I guarantee that. If put your money where your mouth is, put your $100 on the table and let's talk about it. When if it happened, I'll give you $100. Anyone in this room willing to bet $100, I bet, and Israel never attacks Iran. We have Jewish people
Well, they
converted
already
into
have.
in.
They keep
We have
doing it.
Dude, they've done it
They've
5
been
times.
they've been taking out, nuclear facilities left, right, and center.
well, I
I
haven't
mean,
heard that. I haven't
I mean,
left an
it's all
Oh, but it's
public.
called
nuclear.
It's all
accidents.
public information. I mean,
Okay, my
it's all
friend. Good
public.
luck. Good luck. I hope you get what you want.
Okay. All right. Go ahead, Paymon. Yeah, go ahead if you want to come in.
Yeah, just quickly, I mean, this gentleman who just left, obviously he's giving false information. The Jewish population in Iran has depleted since the Islamic regime came to power. And also what he's saying about instigating, who's instigating anything? We are not instigating it. Basically, the party instigating things is the Iranian regime that is, talks about wiping Israel off the map. So for him to come here on this stage and saying that we are instigating hostility between Iran and Israel, that's really laughable. Just I wanted to add to this quickly.
Yes, and they came to LA. I don't understand why the guy believes there's no Persian Jews in LA. Like that's just ridiculous stuff. But yeah, Alex, did you want to say something?
Yeah, no,
We
no.
got to move on.
This guy is delusional as the sack of rice that can't even get cooked. I mean, he is just look. He's just full of crap. Okay. When the revolution happened, literally, even in the Shah's interview, may he rest in peace. He literally said all of the great people of Iran, even the doctors and the businessmen and women, and even the faiths left. We fled because of what this non-Iranian dictatorship brought. And I will tell you, in the Jewish community, there's only less than 4,000, and The ones, he wants to say,
And they're older generation
it's
too,
the older
mostly.
generation, but here's the thing. They are supporters of the regime. And if they don't toe the line, they come after their families and execute them. I cannot go back to Iran as a Christian because I will literally die and get executed for apostasy. So for him to say, "Oh, we have Jewish," no, 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 no. You have regime appointed Christians and Jews who live, and they have to support the regime. Deep. If they don't, they die. That is a fact. But for him to say there's 60,000, no, that's absolute misinformation, and it's just comical for him to think that we don't know what we're talking about. I'm sorry.
It's
It drives me.
also abundantly clear, and it's also extremely disrespectful knowing that he's spouting lies. Okay, it's very, very easy to believe that the times of Cyrus are still the same, but the fact of the matter is that my father, just like many Jews, fled. The man who paid for my father's education in Iran was summarily executed in 1979. I'm sure you know Habib Hoganian. He was killed. How do you, I wonder, because I know that for a fact most Persians, or I should say most Iranians, are pro-Israel. They are pro-American. There is a reason for that. They also convert in secrecy to Zoroastrianism and Christianity for a reason. I wonder what kind of delusional frame of mind you have to live in to actually spout this nonsense.
Right. I mean, that's precisely why we corrected him several times when he was talking. But yeah, thank you so much for that. Let's go to David. David, you will be the second last person on stage. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you for having me on the stage again. Another fascinating debate topic. I was actually, I live in LA as well, by the way, and I actually had a nice conversation chat with a client who's of a Persian American brother, still lives in Iran. His dad was an esteemed general under the Shah who behaved in such a way that his name was not ever thrown on a dark list or put on a hit list by the Ayatollah Muslim regime that exists now. And we were chatting about the segue from the Shah's rule and reign into this Islamic Republic, and he gave me some very important insight. He had a family member that also advised the Shah. And again, this could be anecdotal. I don't have any way of verifying, but he was trying to tell the Shah to contain this cleric, this Ayatollah, and one of the advices that he gave the Shah was to have him build his own little mosque and kingdom and create his own little Mecca within Iran to keep it under watch. And the Shah didn't follow that advice, and the rest is kind of history. He was brought in and propped up.
Okay, so
But
David, we
hold
got
on,
to talk about the actual point. We got to talk
no,
about the
exactly. Well,
actual, yeah.
my point is that while because I live in LA and I run into a lot of Iranian Americans, I've had to do a deep dive and understand this history, and it helps to talk to the actual people most affected by the revolution, the overhaul, and the policies that came afterward. Now, with regard to the Biden administration and this new deal that's being struck, or the same deal that's being re-implemented or not implemented, depending on who you talk to.
It's not the same deal, David. It's a different
Okay,
deal. It's a brand
okay,
new
well,
deal. Iran is at 90% enrichment. Yeah, it's a
okay.
completely
So,
different
all right,
situation,
so
completely new
okay,
scenario.
right. So I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know that look. At the end of the day, I don't think this deal, whether it goes forward or not, it's Iran is already kind of they're trigger happy with war with the Houthis in Yemen. Biden has been going over there to try to get oil pumped by the Saudis. The Saudis aren't happy with the deal that they're trying to cut with Iran. So I think the power politics are not playing out well. I think they want to bring Iran's oil onto the market as a backstop of what's happening with Russia. So, I think there's a lot of politics at play here that aren't necessarily anti-Semitic, that aren't necessarily anti-Israel, because I don't think the United States is going to do one damn thing to threaten that relationship that we have with them. I can't. I mean, I
This
mean,
deal is threatening that, and it threatened it in
well,
2014 as well. I
no,
mean,
but
U.S. Israel relations have been at an all-time low. And they continue to deteriorate. So, they were getting better under Trump, but then Trump is no longer president. But,
Deep,
America and Israel
you're not.
relations have done nothing but deteriorate under this administration, and Obama as well, for that matter. Obama didn't
But
even want
what?
to visit Israel, for that matter. I'm sure you already know that.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not saying Obama. There was a lot of love there between him and Netanyahu. There wasn't.
It's not
But
Netanyahu; it's the state of Israel.
well, okay. Well, you're yeah, state of Israel, whatever.
Obama wanted to recognize Palestine as well, like formally, and I think
But
that
what I
again, David,
let me just emphasize this. Let me just emphasize this. What's to stop? Okay, we've already seen. You know, Putin went over to China, went over to meet Xi during the Olympics as a supplicant. Went over there to kiss the ring, got his blessing to go to war with Ukraine. Okay, they obviously wanted to create an alliance. What's to stop that alliance from having influence over Iran and putting Iran into their camp? How does that help Israel? I don't understand how that helps Israel. In fact, I think it hurts Israel more than anything. And so I think the
Okay,
United
okay.
States is
So,
trying to.
so David, the United States under this administration is brokering the deal right now. They're the ones pushing forward the deal with the
Right.
Russians. So we are the guilty party here.
Okay. So what do you want us to do then? Just not let
Well, the
them go
answer is
on?
simple, David. The answer was simple. Continue the status quo, the maximum pressure policy of the Trump administration. It was really crippling the regime, and it's still crippling the regime. Now, I know that you like to watch MSNBC and
Wait,
CNN
there
and
you
all of
go
those
again with that
outlets,
comment. Okay, there you go
but
again
it's
with that
true though.
comment.
I mean, it's fine.
No, it's not. It's
We
not.
we
No,
can have a
I get.
difference of opinion, right? But the
Listen,
reality is that
I
that campaign was much more effective than the one we're seeing right now. And as a matter of fact, Iran itself was enriching a lot less than it is right now. So, you tell me,
well, I mean,
David. I mean,
well,
the
well,
regime was
that's true.
crippling under Trump. I mean, but Trump is no
And
longer president, so I
not
guess we
everybody
don't
in
have a
America,
choice.
not everybody in America is for this deal going forward. I think you got to recognize that.
Well, of course, there's people
There's a
like
lot of
me and
They're
Aiden.
lawmakers.
they're too they're too stupid to know what's going on. The majority of Americans are absolutely clueless. They have no clue what they voted for. They don't know that this.
Of
No,
course
really,
they
the
don't.
majority of them
They're
they're
puppets of the
idiots.
Okay,
mainstream media.
all
They
right.
also believe whatever's going on in the war as well. But that's again different room, different discussion. But my point is that it's very easy to make people puppets and believe in the narratives of the mainstream media. Whether you watch MSNBC, CNN, whatever outlet or network you enjoy watching. But the reality is, David, is that this nuclear deal will only allow Iran to continue to fund and finance terror once the sanctions are lifted, and they'll get a nuke
So
anyways because they're so
you're
close.
saying you're saying Iran will
They'll get
backslide
a
on the
nuke.
deal.
They'll
You're
get a
saying
nuke
that's what
no matter what. Yeah.
They already
they're
got a
gonna.
deal.
Okay, well,
The deal does nothing
then
but
that's
give
going to
the
cause war.
Ayatollahs.
That's going to cause war. I mean, at the end of the day,
Perhaps.
that's
I
what
mean,
Exactly.
we
What's
don't
gonna
we don't
happen?
really know. It could
that's what they're
cause
going to get.
war. It could
Well, it
cause
is.
Israel to have precision strikes and take out their nuclear facilities. I mean, there are a lot of things that we don't
Look,
know.
If I
I
may,
mean, but David, just because like the mainstream media and the Biden administration tell you about a deal doesn't mean the deal is a good deal. And you've seen that in the past, and you're seeing that right now. But anyways, I guess we can agree to disagree. Go
no,
ahead,
no. I'm
Alex.
saying
go
look.
ahead. Finish up, David. Go ahead.
There's a shadow war being played out, deal or no deal, with Israel all the time happening in the Persian Gulf, right? There's war being played out on the streets of Lebanon right now, whether deal or no deal. There's war being played out in Yemen right now, whether there's a deal or no deal. So at the end of the
Okay. So
day,
David,
I'm
you
just
still don't
saying.
get
So
it though.
no, I do
You
get
still
it.
don't
No, I
get
do
it.
get it.
It makes it much worse. It makes the
Okay,
status
well,
quo much worse.
that's what you think will happen, but we don't necessarily
It's
know
not what I
until.
think will happen. It's what
It
has
is gonna happen.
historically happened. Hold on. It's what has
Okay,
historically happened, David.
and you don't think the United States will have a way to pivot once they sign this deal? They could
No,
pivot tomorrow.
No.
Why not?
no.
Why
The
not?
U.S. itself has so many problems internally that it doesn't have. I mean, look, we have no appetite to get involved. I mean, again, David. I mean, this country is literally on the brink a recession right now. We have our own problems to deal with rather than, focus on too many other things. That's why they want to push forward this deal. They like it's this idea that, basically dance around with the mullahs and the ayatollah, and by dancing with the mullahs and the ayatollah, you'll get what you want, which has never happened. But yeah,
Well,
I want to hear from
no,
some
okay,
other people.
all right, yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for let me speak.
I
But yeah,
mean, no, but
I do.
it's true
I
though,
don't
David.
disagree with you. I don't disagree with you on that. I don't disagree with you on
The
that. I don't
mullahs and the
disagree with.
ayatollahs have gotten richer.
No,
I mean, nothing.
absolutely, absolutely. But
You
but
know,
see, you got to remember too that 50%. Listen, 50% of the world's resources are ran by petro dictators. Okay, so what's one more country that's already been trying to put oil on the market? We're not checking these dictatorships any more than we can, right?
Iran is
So,
not putting oil on the market either.
well, they will. They
I
will
mean,
soon. It's going to happen.
I mean, we don't.
Nope.
I mean, if you want to appease the regime and give them billions more dollars in their war
I mean,
chest,
we're
you could
already
do
paying.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
David, look, I get it. You represent the opposite side here in the U.S., and that's fine.
No, I don't represent
But
the opposite side.
but I think we've had many conversations in the past, and I think
I'm just
you do tend to lean more on the other side
no.
than I do. But my point is, David, that's fine. We're all entitled to our own personal opinions and political beliefs.
I just think you
But
got to look at
my
the.
point is, David, this is not helping anybody here in the U.S. This is not helping the American people. It's not helping people abroad. And it's certainly not helping the Iranian people. It's only making them poorer and more. You could say the regime is getting richer while the people are getting poorer. It's exactly what's going on right now, David, and you know that.
Okay, well, I appreciate the
Right.
feedback. I mean,
I
But
heard,
look,
I
look.
heard,
yeah.
I heard a mic drop. Did anyone else hear a mic drop? I think I heard that.
Yeah, that was a mic
I know
drop.
I tend to have that effect when I talk. But let's go to Paymon. I think you wanted to say something. Go ahead, mate.
No, I can say that later. Let's go to other folks who are on this stage. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. By the way, I was just messing around with you guys.
yeah, I can
Let's.
wrap it up later. Yeah, you're
Yeah,
dropping the
no,
mic,
no,
right?
for sure, for sure. We really got it. Yeah, we've been here for 3.5 hours. We can't be here all night. I do want to go to a good friend of mine, Crypto Bella. It's good to see you again. How are
You
you?
think I want to follow that up? I'm not following that up. No freaking way. I'm doing great. Um, yeah, I mean, I have to agree with there was something that resonated with me that you said, Deep, which is like you see deal, like, and that is the natural um source of the media is to say like, oh, new deal reached, and it's supposed to be some sort of good thing, and there's a lot of bad to come about it, but I'm not following up that conversation with David, but happy to be
Come on,
here.
Bella, chime in. Let's do it.
No
Come on,
freaking way.
bring
No
your A
freaking
game. Bring
way.
your A game,
Well,
man.
well, I
Worst
mean,
thing,
like,
worst thing that'll happen is Deep will say you watch MSNBC and CNN. That's the worst thing that'll happen.
Well, I mean they are propaganda networks, but yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
They all are. They all are. I mean, no matter which network you're watching at this point, they're all propaganda. I think my biggest frustration right now is I feel like as a society, and I know that this is a big deal, and I know it's a huge deal to my Jewish and my Persian brothers and sisters in the United States that are watching what's going on here. I feel like it's just yet another distraction from what's really going on. And they are willing to divide and conquer every which way they can. And only the elites are going to come out on top. So, those are my thoughts on it. I don't have any questions at the moment. I always love your rooms, Steve. So, thank you for having them. But I mean, it's like we're just watching dominoes fall, right? Interest rates, people aren't going to be able to afford a mortgage that they could have afforded 12 months
Well,
ago.
people can't even afford the gas to get to work anymore. But again, yeah, that's
Exactly.
a
Yes. I
different
mean, we're just
discussion.
watching, we're just watching the dominoes fall. And then these distractions and these headlines, they just make it even
Well,
all more complex.
Can I just chime in on that? See what I find, and I agree with you, but the problem is that what I find a little bit disturbing is that we're not talking about this enough. Like I agree that we're definitely being distracted, but no one's really talking about the Iran deal. Like in fact, it's way in the back. Only people who like Jews who actually give a damn about Israel and Persians who, fled, like their antennas are up because they know what this means. But the majority,
Yaeli, I mean, we're talking about it, and
yeah, of course we are, because
I
like
mean,
there's awareness here, but I'm just saying the majority of Americans are dumb. And I'm sorry, the MSM, like media, like they're not, like this isn't distracting them because they really don't know. They don't have the education about the Iran deal. They haven't studied it. They don't give a shit if it doesn't happen in their backyard because they're isolationists. But apart from that, this is actually not being spoken about. Everyone's focusing on the Ukraine, and they should be. Everyone's focusing on this and that and the other, and of course, like gas is through the roof, and of course we keep on going back to Russia. Like they're not talking about the Iran deal, and the fact is that the Iran deal, if it goes through, will change the world completely.
So
It's
Yali, can you? Okay, so I am one of the isolationists because I am, as much as I try and be involved, I am shutting down. Like we all have to shut down and worry about our day to day at some point. And
your day to day is going to be impacted
okay, so
because of
that's
this.
and that's what I was going to ask you. I want to ask you if I need to know, like, what do I need to know and why do I need to know it? And can you keep it concise for anybody who just catches the next
I mean, I don't
60
like,
to
look,
2
I
minutes?
think, I think my worldview is really, and I'm not like, I don't want to be condescending or anything. I really respect you because you're like admitting what your boundaries, like, I get it. And I think majority of Americans are like this. I didn't grow up like that. Okay. My dad literally left Iran. He met my mother in Israel. He had 3 jobs when we were growing up. We grew up fucking poor. So like my idea of the world at a very, very young age was not an isolationist one. Like I knew at a very young age that I was
I get
lucky
what
to
you're
have.
saying. What I'm
But
saying is that if you had to talk to the isolationists, what
I
would
would
you
just
want
say
them to
to
know
you,
right now?
I would just say to you that physical boundaries, like these borders, are meaningless when you literally have a government right now, or like this whatever you want to call this thing that is running the show. It's a joke. Where you've got millions of people who are literally like they're coming into our country, and I don't want to get into that either, but like they're like the boundaries are just an illusion because it's going to show up at your doorstep. So you need to realize that what you think is so far away and you're so removed from, it's an illusion. It is going to catch up to you.
Yeah,
And you,
Oh,
just
I
Can
already
I
know that. I
can,
already.
can I add one tangible point there?
yeah. Just hold on. One thing I do want to add is that we Americans, we're used to the idea that we're invincible, and the American mainland is basically, and we've never seen war in the mainland. Pearl Harbor was the closest thing. So I think this American ignorance that you're talking about comes from the fact that we're used to this idea of comfort, and perhaps it's too much comfort. So I can certainly. You forgot 9/11, Deep. You forgot 9/11. 3,000
Yeah,
Americans Yeah, died. but that was
yeah,
that.
but
yeah, but that wasn't,
but
War.
people don't remember it.
we're not dealing with, you don't have a civilian army, right? You don't have people who understand what war is. When you go to Europe, the Europeans, everywhere you go, like, that there was war there. Americans have no
Right.
concept of that.
Yeah, We have a exactly. civil war. Yeah, We it have was a civil war. an army
For
than it. Yeah, but
for
anyways,
crypto
guys,
bell for
hold on.
crypto Bella, I would like to say that you'll see it showing up on your doorstep as far as prices. Not that they haven't already skyrocketed, but once the Houthis consolidate their control of Yemen and they have the ability to shut down the Red Sea through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the Suez Canal becomes moot at that point, and that will affect um, prices on a global scale that I don't think anybody can imagine. So you have the Islamic Republic with the ability to shut the Strait of Hormuz and then shut the Red Sea leading out to the Arabian Sea. So
If I can
those
I?
are practical ramifications.
We're talking about ramifications, but if I can, let me rephrase my question because I am one who listens, reads, does a lot more than the average American, I would say, gets
I mean,
involved in
you're
these
here.
conversations. I'm here exactly. So you guys are going like, you guys are going to like, okay, this is the end result. But a lot of people, probably even in this room, don't even understand the repercussions of the article and why it matters. So I guess whenever I said I'm an isolationist, I'm not actually. I definitely go way outside my boundaries, but at some point people start to shut down. But if you could explain it in terms of this is the problem, this
But
is
let
why
me
it's,
take a crack at it.
please, Ali, thank you.
A very dark and twisted ideology that controls the resources of a nation is going to be immensely empowered and energized. A dark ideology that controls the resources of an important nation, of a resourceful nation, is going to be empowered. It has militant ambitions that are wrapped in religious beliefs and extends itself into the Middle East with global ambitions. It's delusional. It's completely delusional from my point of view, but nonetheless, that is the beast that you're empowering. So, what exactly will be the concrete ramifications that will come from such a beast rising? Well, yes, there'll be economic ones and other ones on many spheres of life: moral, spiritual, economic, military. Every sphere of life will be affected. But that's why you don't want to do that. You don't want to empower it. You want to starve it. And so this is the opposite of that.
Can
So
somebody break
by
it
the way,
down
yeah,
even,
yeah.
can
I was
somebody
just gonna
break it
say,
down even more basic? Even more basic. Again, you have not turned on the news. You do not follow world politics. You don't understand what's going on, what this deal means. Can somebody break it down even more basic?
War. It means war.
The
Yeah,
last
but
Well,
time this much money
if I
was
may
released,
add something, Crypto Bella, this it may not be possible to do that. Not everything can be reduced to like one liner or one worder in this case. It is what it is. I mean, if people can't follow it, that's okay. So when the crisis breaks out, then we all follow it, like what is happening, let's say, in Ukraine right now. But we are used to just dealing with the crisis of the day, and this will, what we are trying to say here is that uh, we are on the collision course. By say we, I mean I'm more talking more generally than just US alone, but I think there is going to be some kind of collision at some point in the future, and we are talking about the parameters of that collision. Now, it's complicated. I mean, let's not just mince words. I mean, it is complicated. Yeah, it may not be easy to just reduce it to one word, but I think that's the whole point here. I mean, try to discuss it, and at least for folks who
Right.
are
Right. Yeah.
just try to get a better sense of it. But
like
if you don't want to
by the
follow it, that's
way,
okay. We're gonna
but
hear about it when the crisis breaks out. So
Right.
I
Yeah. No. Yeah. For sure. Yeah. 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 Go ahead, Crypto Bella. We really got to wrap it up, though. Yeah. Yeah. Go
I
ahead.
know you do. I know you do. I'm just, again, we still haven't gotten down to the basis of what we're talking about. Why, like, first of all, what is it? And then why is it a potential catalyst to what all of you are talking about? Because I can hear what everybody's talking about. We're talking about war, we're talking about supply shortages, etc. But can somebody actually say, for anybody who just joined, let's pretend they just joined and they never turn on the news, why is this so important to the world economy, which most Americans don't pay attention to? You're right, they
It
pay
would
attention
cause
to
instability in
crises,
the Middle East, Crypto
but
Bella. The idea of
I hear you.
war
Okay.
with
But what
yeah,
is going to
but
cause? But
can we
what
just
is going to cause?
okay?
Why is it going to cause that?
because
Wait, can I just throw something out there? I think your antennas, or you seem smart, and that, thank God. Like, I think your antennas should have gone up when we exited Afghanistan the way we did. Okay, we literally
Oh, they
abandoned what?
did.
No, no,
Oh, my
we abandoned.
antennas
Wait,
were
wait,
up.
wait. We abandoned $90 billion of the equipment. So this is the thing, right? People like to say, oh, like it was time to go, and it was just rushed. I'm like, no, 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 no. We have the best intelligence in the world. If they didn't want to exit this way, they wouldn't have. Okay, like that should have already set off people's antenna saying, "Wait a second, why
That
would we be
that
doing
was a
that? Why?
total.
Wait. Why would we doing? Why would we be doing that? Because there's something far worse coming. You don't just literally abandon equipment like that. You don't abandon your people. You don't abandon your allies. You don't do any of that unless you know that there's something worse coming. And for whatever reason, this administration, just like the Obama administration, loves the Iranian regime. They love money. And yeah, we've got a whole lot of anti-Semites in the administration. Whoever said, oh, like maybe they're naive. No, they're not naive. These people know exactly what they're
Well,
doing.
yeah, can I look? It's not just been democratic regimes that have cozied up in the conversation here to the Iranian regime. The Reagan administration. Remind the folks in the room, we had an Iran Contra scandal that probably took the better part of 8 years that was going on post Carter, and made our airwaves in the late '80s, and Reagan almost his folklore almost was reduced to rubble. So we've had Republican administrations that have done business over there with these guys, even up through Bush Senior. So this thing that it's a Democrat thing, a Republican thing. That both sides are guilty with doing business with this Iranian dictatorship. At the end of the
You're
day,
right, but you're right. But today, at this moment in time, there really does seem to be an
it's it's the
anti-Semitic
Democrats. It's
among the Democrats. Yeah,
yes.
today.
All right, guys. Look, we've been here for 4 hours, and like I said, we have other things to do with our lives. So, thank you so much, everyone. Let's get to some final thoughts. What would you guys like to leave the audience with? Paymon, let's start with you. Go ahead.
Well, there's a lot going on. I just want to try to keep it simple. I think I there may be a deal. Chances are that there will be a deal, but I don't think it's going to be a lasting deal. Um, we saw what happened in the last time we had a deal,
Unless they
and
win again.
right, and I don't think this is going to be lasting. I mean, there's a lot of opposition, not only among Republicans. For example, Mike Pence said that on the first day, whoever the Republican president, if a Republican president is elected in 24, he or she would be, ripping this agreement. But even among Democrats, some influential Democrats, you have a lot of opposition. This thing about FTO designation being removed from the IRGC, I don't think this is going to go down well. Again, not only among Republicans, but also some Democrats. Not all, but some of the Democrats. I mean, we are talking about some, people like Chris Coons. I mean, he's
Right.
not like the most hawkish person on this planet, but so there is going to be and then we have of course Israel, as people talked about, and there are countries in the region that are they're showing, even in this kind of the oil crisis, they're not seeming they don't seem to be very collaborative in terms of increasing the oil production. So we have a lot of resistance, a lot of opposition to this. So this is, probably there's going to be a band-aid, possibly. But back to the point that I raised earlier, even it doesn't look like the Iranian regime is that hungry for this deal anyway. So I mean, they seem to be able to sell some oil and make their finances moving, even if it's people are starving. They don't care. I mean, they can pay for their own people and their proxies, and they can steal some money here and there, so they're okay. So I mean, it's just they don't seem to be in a rush. And I think, again, back to all the things I've been saying for months. I think ultimately what the regime wants is the bomb. What happened in Ukraine also reinforces in their mind that you can only be safe if you have the nuclear weapon, and that's the lesson they've taken. Now they're trying to form an alliance with Russia. I mean, they've had it for some time, but now with Russia being under sanctions, then they may find some common cause there. So it's just, I think it's very naive to think that, oh, there going to be a deal and everything is going to be okay. It's not going to be okay. I think to the point I was raising earlier, we are, I think, on a collision course. This is not going to end well, but how and when and under what circumstances, I can't tell. I mean, I don't have crystal ball. It's just we have to wait and see what will happen. So I will leave it at that. Thank you.
Right. Yeah. No, thank you. Thank you, Payman. And yeah, interesting final thoughts there. It should be noted, though, that most Democrats do support the deal, which is not encouraging. And I do believe that this bipartisanship a divide in Washington will continue. And that's the problem with American politics and American democracy, is that you will never have consistency in foreign policy. One administration will do the opposite of the other to attract a polarizing voter base, and what we're seeing right now is a direct consequence of that. And that's just not good news for this country. So yeah, thank you, Payman. Let's go to Adrian. Final thoughts for tonight, Adrian.
Yeah, final thoughts. Yeah, I was just trying to think about, consequences of doing this. And this deal, from everything that's being spoken, is worse than the last one, which, by the way, someone brought up the points. The sunset clauses from that past deal have already expired. So what happened? What happened was you saw a genocide in Syria, all right, and then you saw them completely take control of Yemen through their proxy. And that's what they were able to do. And also really consolidate their power within Iraq. And that's what they will do with the money. This regime is theological. It's the Islamic Revolutionary Guards Council. It's about preserving the revolution at home, meaning killing dissidents, killing people at home, people that are protesting, and then exporting that revolution abroad, which is Lebanon, Syria, Iraq, Yemen, you name it, the entire region, where they can. So that's what we're dealing with. That's the regime that you're dealing with. There's this mirror image error that we have in the US, that we believe that in the West that they act the same way when it comes to diplomacy. They do not. It's a completely different world, and we have not wisened up to this. What this administration is doing right now is criminal, and it is going to have grave consequences. And people like Rob Malley, Ali Weiss, individuals like that, they're going to have blood on their hands. And I will yield. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'm not a big fan of Rob Malley either, and I think we're seeing the effects of this play out in real time. Alex, final thoughts for tonight.
Yeah. Wow. Where do I start? We'll make it very quick. To the people of the room, what you heard is what we are going through every single day. Okay. 44 years of dictatorship now because the new year just passed. I will tell you this right now. Crisis Group, NIAC, Quincy Institute, Ali Vaez, Rob Malley, Ayatollah Biden, the entire infrastructure of what you're seeing in the White House needs to get axed, needs to go. And I think that the midterm is going to send a strong message in this country of the U.S. that the red wave is going to come because of the incompetency of the Biden administration. Number two, the JCPOA is already signed. Let's not be foolish. It's already signed. The complacency and the decorative of the cosmetics of the formality will be coming very soon. Number three, Iran is hell bent on destroying Israel off the map, and if they're going to do it, regardless of the JCPOA or not. This is the foundation of this occupation, and this regime is not Iranian. I've said that many times. I'll say it again. They are not Iranian. These are demons, and these are actors who have destroyed our country. Number four, we have an opposition leader. That's Crown Prince. Only opposition we have. Nobody else. Until there's a secular democratic Iran. Number five, and my final thought is this. The Iranian nation is founded because of Cyrus the Great, and the Iranian people know where our roots go back with the Jewish community, and that is inseparable. So people like Vahid and all the clowns that have been on the chat do not speak for us, because the Iranian people love the Jewish people. We are pro-Israel and we are pro-freedom, and we will be a united country. We will never be cut up into pieces. We will never be separated. We will be a united Iran, because everybody is Iranian. With that, in my final thought, I think that this JCPOA signing is already happened. They will enrich the nuclear weapons, and Israel will go to war, and they will defend what they need to defend because, unfortunately, this regime is hell bent, and nothing will stop them from doing that. And only time will tell when. We don't know when, but let's pray to God that if it does happen, that nobody gets hurt in the process, and it's the swift strikes, and the people of Iran will be free in the name of Crown Prince Javid Shah. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Alex. I think it's been a fascinating 3 hour and 41 minute long conversation, and obviously something refreshing as well. Just my quick thoughts, to talk about something besides the war between Russia and Ukraine, and kind of covering that conflict like we have in depth for the last month and a half, and as we should. But just like Yaeli said earlier, we should also, be mindful that there are a lot of other things happening in the world that we need to care about, and this Iran nuclear deal is one that I can't emphasize enough of, because this is a very important development that's happening, and it has massive ramifications for the Middle East, peace and stability in the Middle East, and for that matter, the entire world. Because if the Middle East is unstable, well, I mean, you might as well have, you could say, the whole world unstable, considering the importance of the region, the energy, the commerce, all sorts of things going on, like Adrian alluded to earlier. Just kind of, straight to the point. For those of you who missed most of the conversation, you can always check it out in your favorite replays. But one thing I will say is that, yes, this deal is pretty much set. It's good to go. We're just waiting for the final formalities to kind of be revealed by this administration. And, I think it's only a matter of time. It may be 3 years. I would imagine that what the next elections are in 2024. So, yeah, about 3 years. And I really don't see Biden getting a re-election. So, I think this is a temporary deal, like Paymon said, and it's here to be temporary. And unfortunately, we're going to have to live with it for the next few years.
Wait. Just pause. You think that he's going to make it another 3 years? I don't know if that's going to
I
happen.
don't know. I mean, I don't.
I
I don't.
mean, honestly, not saying anything,
Look.
but
I think he has dementia. I think he has a lot of
he's
issues.
had dementia since 2012. People
But
are just like,
right. But one thing I will say, right, is I don't think anyone here, no matter if you're Republican or Democrat, or whatever kind of aisle you kind of swing in American politics, no one wishes the ill health of the commander in chief. We hope he.
absolutely not,
Yeah,
absolutely
we
not.
don't.
What they are doing to him is elder abuse. I think we can agree on that.
Well, the reality is that he isn't even. I mean, he's just a figurehead. He doesn't really represent any policies of his own. He just gets on a teleprompter and reads what he's told to do. And I think that's one of the big reasons why he won the election. He stayed in a basement for 2 years, and in the time, he basically just read off of speeches that were written for him while he was in his basement, and that worked. And I think it's very easy to deceive the American people about certain media narratives, whether it's this war going on in Ukraine, or whether it's other things going on, like this nuclear deal, or believing that this deal is the greatest thing in the world, like MSNBC kind of goes on and kind of it's basically the Biden cheerleading show is what I call that network. No, but it's the reality. A lot of these, I mean, it's the entire corporate media, and I think that's the scary part, is that as long as Biden is healthy enough to read off of a teleprompter, I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, the guy confused Ukrainians for Iranians in the State of the Union address. I mean, how can you, as the president of the United States, when the country is in war, confuse these two people? It just comes to show just how inept of a leader we have in the White.
It's called elder abuse. It's very simple. Elder
Exactly,
abuse.
exactly. But yeah, to answer your question, I think as long as he's healthy enough to speak from a teleprompter, and just read what he's told to do, I think he'll, at least from the way he lives his life with all of the lavish dinners, and the way that people take care of, like, the president, I think he'll be alive in 2024. But I don't know what can happen in the next 3 years. I don't know what he could have a heart attack or a stroke or anything else. We don't really know, but we certainly wish he makes it through.
If anything, I want him to be impeached properly if we are going to see him gone. But I don't think anyone wishes him to just suddenly die. But
I definitely
uh,
don't wish that at all. But I will say it's abundantly clear that what they're doing to the man is cruel. Like the fact that I'm sorry, like it's, I never liked him. I don't wish ill will on like on anybody or death on anyone, but what they're doing to this man is cruel.
right, but I mean, I don't think he cares. I mean, he's living a lavish life of his
The
own.
dude, what do you mean he cares? He's not, he doesn't even know what he ate for breakfast. He's literally not in this world.
Well, he lives. I mean, he lives a pretty lavish life. I mean, he has the ivory tower. He has chefs at the White House, all sorts of things. But again, we don't need to get into Biden's personal life. But I think anyone will attest that he doesn't really care about the everyday working American or Americans in general, for that matter. He's
And
enjoying.
he's a racist. Can we just talk about that for a second? And he's a racist.
Okay.
I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna say it for everyone to hear. He is a racist.
Okay. All right. Yes. Yes. I think we've gotten a lot of passion against Biden in this room. I think this is very interesting. Thank you so much, guys. Yes. And look, let's hope for better days. And as far as the Biden administration goes, you guys can either impeach him or you're stuck for another 3 years with him. So, it's either one way or the other way. So, or he could pass. But you see, if he passes, then Kamala Harris takes over. So you have to ask yourself if you want that too.
The cackling witch. No, I'll take Biden any day.
From the fire to the
I
frying
agree.
pan.
right. And then if Kamala Harris goes, you have Nancy Pelosi. So, I mean, it's not really a win-win situation either way. But yes, folks, it's been a fascinating discussion, and let's hope for better days for this country. That's all I can say. And as far as this deal, I mean, I'm very upset, but like I said, we can't really do anything. I guess we can lobby, but other than that, that's all we can do. But yeah, thank you so much, everyone. This conversation is recorded, so you guys can check it out in your favorite replays if you missed any bit. And also follow the club if you haven't already done so by clicking the green bell icon at the top. We have rooms and discussions like this on a regular basis, covering the most complex geopolitical issues in every corner and every region of the world. And yes, we've even had rooms on Antarctica. So yes, thank you so much, everyone. Good night, good morning, good evening, and we'll see you guys another day. Khuda Hafiz, as they say in Farsi. Bye-bye, everybody.
Shab bekhair, Khuda Hafiz.
Good. Okay. Goodbye.
Khudafis.